The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. The field is shrinking at the American Cup in St. Louis. With the finish line in sight, remaining players fought tooth and nail to survive the gauntlet and stay in contention. Hikaru Nakamura will represent the champions in the open section, with Alice Lee coming out on top in the women's, leaving their victims pining for a potential rematch. Reigning champ Levon Aronian advanced with Irina Krush surviving for another crack at her American Cup rival. The champions brackets have been decided, but who will emerge victorious from the ranks of the eliminated as their final challenger? Day 7 of stupendous chess, coming up next.
Welcome back, chess fans, to Day 7 of the 2025 American Cup held here in beautiful St. Louis. This is the day of the elimination bracket. The champions players take a break for this one and are waiting for who will go on past the elimination bracket. It's going to be fast and it's going to be exciting. Let's go to the studio and start Day 7.
The champion brackets are complete. Who will be the challengers from the elimination brackets? We find out today as Day 7 of the American Cup starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm Women Grandmaster Katerina Nemcova, and I'm here with Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan and Grandmaster Cristian Chirila.
You nailed it. You just nailed it. Hey, Day 7.
That's a good start.
That was a very good start. Hello everyone, welcome to our show. The 2025 American Cup certainly has delivered, and it's delivered as two champions in the champions bracket. They are waiting for a challenge from the elimination bracket. Two players are going home, and two players are going to make it to the finals. Kate, do the honors. Tell our viewers the brackets.
Yes, and let's start with the women's champions bracket. Yesterday, it was Tatev Abrahamyan who lost to Alice Lee, and Alice Lee is the women's champions bracket champion, and she has also a rest day today.
In the elimination bracket for the ladies.
Now here we see that Irina Krush yesterday defeated Nazi Paikidze to continue in the elimination bracket, and Tatev Abrahamyan dropped from the champions bracket, and that's the match we're gonna see today with Irina Krush starting with white pieces.
In the open?
In the open section, it was Hikaru Nakamura who defeated Fabiano Caruana and is the champion of the open champions bracket.
Tell us about the elimination players.
Now we see that it will be Levon Aronian challenging Fabiano Caruana again, and Levon already has a history with Fabiano in this tournament because he got eliminated to the elimination bracket, and now he will try to have his revenge, and he will start with black pieces.
The format
for this tournament, it's very unique. We have two 8-player double elimination bracket style tournaments. No draw offers allowed in any of the chess games. Now in the champions bracket, we have two classical games, 90 minutes plus 30-second increment. If there is a tie, there is a blitz playoff. Two games, 3 minutes plus 2-second increment. If there is a tie, they repeat it again with reversed colors, and then Armageddon. Now whoever is eliminated from the champions bracket goes to the elimination bracket, and there it's two rapid games, 25 minutes plus 10-second increment, and again, if there is a tie, there is a playoff.
And tell us about the schedule.
Today we have Day 7, so we still have a number of days ahead of us and exciting chess. Now specifically what we're gonna see today is there will be nothing in the champions bracket. Alice Lee and Hikaru Nakamura are enjoying a rest day today. But the elimination bracket, we will see the whole match, two rapid games, and if necessary, playoffs.
Thank you, Kate. And Cristian, those champions in the champions bracket, what can you say? They're deserving.
Absolutely, and the action is getting faster and more furious in today because we only have elimination bracket with rapid and blitz potentially. But yesterday, after the classical, it was all decided in the Blitz section. Take a look at the highlights of Hikaru versus Fabiano.
All right, as we see the players are making a draw, very eventful draw, as with this draw, it will be 1-1, and the players will, both Hikaru and Fabi are going to be playing a playoff, a Blitz playoff.
45 minutes from now, these two players will duel in a Blitz playoff.
Nice.
Fabi is looking for Chris Bird.
I think Fabi's going to feel like he dodged a little bit of something here, and Hikaru's going to feel like, you know, that was a pretty decent game.
Just simply
Bishop to
nothing
d8.
Knight F5.
Oh!
Fork at the end.
Very impressive victory. It almost seemed from the opening that Hikaru got a position and he just played it.
He did. He played a great game.
The knight stuck, the bishop stuck,
E7.
d2 is hanging.
Queen takes d2.
Queen
d4
d5,
again.
and Hikaru has got the game. There's no moves for Fabi.
Oh my goodness.
His knight is stuck, his
All he
rook is
needs to
stuck.
do
Wow.
is a draw.
Draw. Hikaru is the champion of the winner
Of the champions bracket.
Of the champions bracket. He's guaranteed first or second place and the $15,000 bonus.
Absolutely brilliant performance by Hikaru Nakamura in that nerve-wracking affair against Fabiano, and Eric Rosen caught up with him after for a cheerful interview. Take a look.
I want to ask you, do you get nervous in these situations?
Well, I mean, nervous is all about knowing that if I get too low on time, my brain doesn't function the way it once did. So I think that that's more of the overriding concern. You know, there's a famous quote, of course, which is the threat is stronger than the execution. And I think that the concern or the worry about getting too low on time is on my mind perhaps a bit too much. But I think that the decisions I made were pretty good. I think maybe my time usage wasn't great at the beginning of the second game, but once I started playing with flow, it was all very good. So I think overall I'm fairly happy with how I played.
Mm-hmm.
And another very contested matchup was in the champions bracket in the ladies section between Tatev Abrahamyan and Alice Lee. And Tatev had a great chance to upset Alice Lee and potentially force a tiebreaks. But was she able to do it? Let's take a look.
Tatev now needs to make an important decision. She's down to her 15 seconds.
We'll trade rooks and we'll just put the rook.
15 seconds. Let's see what she goes for. Rook f7.
Oh,
Rook g2.
but I have check on... No.
No,
Before it's not helping.
Be careful now, Tatev. Don't. Rook takes h4, king b4. Wait a minute.
She
blundered.
Oh, what a blunder.
She blew it.
draw. Oh my goodness. Tatev was just on the verge of winning. She has allowed Alice to make equality. Let the win just slip right out of her fingers.
She played an amazing game. She truly did. And she understands that.
She let victory slip away.
King takes c4, and that's officially a draw. And officially, Alice Lee moves on to the Champions Grand Finals.
I mean, you just gave me the game, says Alice. That was one of the worst games I played, says Alice.
Kudos
Me
to Tatev for an amazing fight.
Truly.
She kept the pressure on. She got a winning position.
And
all
she
the way
goes to the elimination
into
bracket
the end.
with Irina. She may make a comeback.
Heartbreaking moments for Tatev right there, but she will be facing Irina, and that is another chance to potentially go to the Grand Finals and once again meet Alice Lee. Will she be able to do it?
I always reminded how cruel a game chess can be. She was that close. Tell our viewers the pairings and how the players got this elimination moment.
So let's
Kate.
start in the women's champions bracket. And Tatev Abrahamyan, first she defeated Anna Zatonsky, then Carissa Yip, but then she fell short to Alice Lee and then dropped to the elimination bracket. Irina Krush won against Atusa Purkashian and then lost to Alice Lee.
And in the elimination bracket?
So here, Irina Krush managed to win against Anna Zatonsky, then also against Nazi Paikidze, but now she's going to be challenged by Tatev Abrahamyan, who wants to be the finalist of the elimination bracket to challenge Alice Lee again.
And Irina will start with white in game 1 of their mini match of 2 games of rapids.
And now in the open champions bracket, Levon Aronian won against Seirawan, but then lost to Fabiano Caruana and dropped to the elimination bracket. Fabiano won against Ray Robson, then defeated Levon Aronian, but then lost to Hikaru Nakamura.
What happened in the eliminations bracket?
There, Levon got to play again against Wesley So, actually first Wesley So, but then again against Seirawan, managed to win both matches, and now back to the match with Fabiano Caruana to see who will win and be able to challenge Hikaru Nakamura.
Fabi will start the first game with white, and the players are fighting very, very hard, and there's a big reward for their success.
Yes, very generous prize fund. In the women's section, a total prize fund of $150,000. Now, most of the prizes were decided, only the 3 places are still unclear. So $40,000 for the first place, $30,000 for the second, and $20,000 for the third. Now the champions bracket bonus, $9,000, goes to Alice Lee.
And in the open prize fund?
Here the total prize fund is $250,000. First place $75,000, second place $55,000, and third place $30,000. And champions bracket bonus goes to Hikaru Nakamura, $15,000.
Our congratulations as we switch over to the World Chess Hall of Fame. Chris Burke, the international arbiter.
Tony Rich giving some instructions to what to do.
And our bell ringer will be Brittany Mosher. For those of you who don't know, Brittany really is responsible for herding us all up and making sure we all get to the meetings and all the things that we need to do. Thank you, Brittany, for everything you do. Give it a good ring. There you go.
And the round started.
And we are nearly underway. I noticed that my picks for the event, Irina and Fabi, I was looking good. Yesterday was just a bad day, just a bad day.
Well, only with Fabi. It was a good day from Irina's perspective.
That is true.
Because she was on the ropes against
Nazi.
Paikidze.
That is true. Good point. Good point. As we are just underway, Irina
Starting with English.
Has been playing rather consistently the C4, Knight F3, B3 systems. And again, I would really point out that Nepo was one player, Shekhyar Mehmedarov, who really popularizes, but this is not what's happening. What we have is a King's Indian defense, a classical King's Indian. I'm expecting that Irina will play bishop after castles, bishop E2, and literally books have been written from this position, castles.
Now a lot of options, bishop E2, and that's being played. Otherwise, bishop E3, bishop G5, H3.
The most classical positions, E7, E5 has been the standard move for, well, I'm going to say 100 years in this position. Yes, you can play other things. You can play C6 and A6 and Knight D7.
Knight A6?
That's a bit of a surprise. Knight A6. Okay, again, E7, E5. And the players have simply transposed. Bishop E3. I'm sure Irina was impressed by the victory that young Alice Lee had over Tatev. You remember it was one of those positions where somehow Tatev's knight on A6 and H6 got waylaid. None of this happened because Queen E7, let me refresh my board, pardon me. None of this happened because after E5, bishop E3, we did not see knight G4, we saw Queen E7. Queen E7. Must say I'm not a fan of this move in particular. The reason I'm not a fan is while I know it's not much for white, I've always believed that these positions, after knight D5, knight takes C takes D5, again, it's not like they're great or anything like that, but it just feels like it's easier to play the white side than the black side. None of this happened because after Queen E7, I was surprised by Irina's choice, and she made it very quickly, by the way. D4, D5, just clamping down in the center.
Can Tatev transpose to her again with Alice Lee by knight G4?
Right.
Bishop G5,
Yep.
F6.
Right. Bishop H4. In that game, there was some C5, and somehow the knight, they did it differently. The knight came to B4, then it was chased away with A3, and the knight went backwards. One thing that you don't do in this position, and I think it's important strategically, is you don't play the move knight C5. Not because you're afraid of bishop takes C5 and having your pawns doubled. No, not at all. What you're afraid of is the move knight D2. Why are you so afraid of this move? Mainly in the King's Indian, it's about the counterplay with F5. Oftentimes, this knight has to move so that you can play F5. And the knight likes to go to the H5 square so it can go to the F4 square. After the move knight D2, I'm defending E4, but I'm also covering the H5 square. So you don't have knight H5, you don't have knight G4. Normally speaking, you would play a move like A5, and then what happens is your knight has to go backwards this way, and it's far less dangerous of attack. So D5, don't play knight C5. Cristian,
It looks like it surprised Tatev because she's still thinking.
I'm of the opinion you have to play knight G4, but then again, I don't know what the latest in the theory says. We'll keep an eye on this one. What's happening in the open?
I think we should go to the open as well. Take a look at what's happening in
Hungarian
this one.
defense.
Once again, Hungarian defense, they've played it against each other so many times already in this event.
Right.
And in that one, it was knight C3 followed by A3. This was Fabiano's idea.
And what he
from
did
the get-go.
also with Naka.
Exactly.
He played the same.
But he
A3
lost
knight.
that one.
Yeah,
he lost the last one that he played in the Hungarian defense. So right now he's switching things up. Castle, castle, and now bishop to B3. Bit of a wrinkle. You generally don't do this. I mean, you start with A4, you start with C3. You don't necessarily go bishop to B3 like that, unprovoked. Now, bishop to B3, D6 was played. C3, making space for the bishop to go to C2. This is very typical. Knight to A5 obviously will be met with bishop to C2. H6 and rook to E1. Played quite quickly, but after rook to E1, I really thought that H3 would be a more interesting approach because, as we will see in the game, knight to H7 was the decision by black. The thing is, with a rook on F1, you have this option of D4, knight to G5, this is the typical plan for black, and then you have ideas of F4 with the rook on F1. Now, with the rook on E1, that's no longer possible, and in fact, after the very typical main move, knight H7, Fabiano spent a couple of minutes, which is a bit unusual because 25 minutes you play fast. Fabiano, we know this is his style. He likes to show that he knows the position. And he played the move knight to D2. And right now, of course, we're going to be waiting for knight to G5, still very early on. But again, these two players are having a very deep discussion in the Italian. Very, very deep discussion in the Italian.
I know knight G5, very typical move, but I have seen Levon Aronian playing king to H8 and F5.
It's a dual purpose, yes. That's a very good point. This move, knight to H7, first of all, knight to G5 seems to be the main idea behind it.
Yeah.
But yes, you do have this idea of going king to H8 and F5. You can do it in a variety of ways. One of them being, with the knight already on F6, still on F6, you can start with king H8 and then go knight to G8 sometimes.
Right, also very typical of
knight to
Levon's game.
Very, very typical. So knight to H7, we've seen this before. Let me see if there's any after knight to D2. Yes, king to H8 is the second most played move. You do have to be careful about certain things, and that is white is really trying to strike in the center with the move D4. We just saw knight to G5 being played on the board. Let's take a look.
Thank you, Cristian. And how do these two players in head-to-head, Kate, how do they match up?
Let's take a look. They have a so many games against each other. It's 22 wins for Fabi, 21 losses, so it's very close, and 25 draws. And by the way, look at that win probability. It's 52.9% for Fabiano compared to Levon's 47.1.
Thank you, Ben Underwood, for that statistical probabilities. That's kind of a pick'em. 22 to 21 with how many draws? My goodness.
Yes, sir. Maybe you can analyze this this knight to g5 move on your board.
Absolutely, I've got it.
Tell us what you think of this position. You've played some Italians in your life.
Frankly, I just think it's very balanced when you're not playing these d3, d4 lines. I just don't see how you get advantage. For example, if we start with d4 here, and we start to understand why with the rook on f1, here the problem is knight takes, bishop to g4, basically starts to pile on the pressure on the pawn on d4. So you think to yourself, okay, I won't play d4, I'll play h2, h3.
Just guarding that square on g4 and asking black, what do you want to do?
And black says, okay, I'll go king h8. I'm preparing to play knight takes f3 and f7, f5. And it just feels like without having made any breaks from white's perspective, you really can't expect much. By the way,
we see a trade on g5.
Oops, sorry, that was wrong. I was supposed to refresh, not... yes, knight takes, bishop takes. Desirable knight f3 just allows further trades. I would say this is a big success for the Hungarian defense, that you could pacify your bishop, make it passive, suddenly trade it, and then either play the move bishop e6 or simply bishop g4. It's 8 versus 8. I don't see any reasons why the knight should be considered any worse than the bishop.
Is it possible that Fabiano is considering move knight f1? I just wanted to say it, and it is on the board. Because knight f1 is still moving the knight to the king side to g3 or e3, but not allowing the bishop to pin it once it gets to f3. But it's away from the center.
Yes. Well, I just see more trades on the horizon. The knight being on f1 means there's no pin, but bishop takes c1, rook takes c1, bishop e6. I assume you want to play knight
g3 or knight e3.
Yeah, I was about to say, I assume you want to play knight e3 just to put it...
I'm guarding now the two most important squares.
Right.
In the center.
But really, is it that much that, 8 versus 8? I don't know. It looks
so let's
really,
say you
really
go
balanced.
king e7, queen e7.
Okay.
Can I do something like bishop d5, or because I want to push d4 and now I'm pinning the knight.
Okay.
And if you take it, then I'm very happy my knight is going to go into the center.
Very happy, and from Black's perspective, 8 pawns on the board, 8 versus 8, safe king, decent development. Yeah, I appreciate that you could play d4, even perhaps f4. I may play f5. I may just play knight e7 and ask you, how proud are you of your knight?
So what if I start now with rook e3?
Okay.
And if you play f5,
okay,
is there some tactical chance with queen b3?
Okay. Queen b3, some issues with my king. Let's say I go away.
I take that pawn.
Good.
Because I'm also attacking that pawn on c7 right now.
Right.
And I take the pawn on c7.
Good. I like that. I like that you're capturing away. I'll capture.
Mm-hmm. And you also want to target that f2 square.
I do. Very, very much so. I want to capture on... Again, I just feel that, somehow we zip right past the opening middle game. We got ourselves into an end game, and I don't think Levon will be too upset about...
Because Black has a lot of activity here.
What?
Black has activity on the f-file, on the second rank.
Should we take it from the beginning? Let's see. So knight f1, what do you do again? You take on c1, right?
I was capturing on c1. I was being my most direct self.
Okay, let's say I go knight e3.
Yeah, here I might just pause for just a moment, and instead of queen e7 and encouraging you to play knight to d5, I might just start with queen d7.
And I think this is the whole idea of white's play. Now maybe I can go bishop a4.
Bishop a4. Okay, so that's a little bit off the path. Something to be said for bishop a4. I kind of like it.
Try and take advantage of the fact that you don't have the move a6 on the board yet.
Right.
So there's no b5
is,
idea.
No, f5 is asking. Whoa!
King a7.
Okay, okay.
Okay, from the mind
He's trying to go f5.
of Levon.
He's saying, if you want to capture and trade the bishop, just capture mine, so my queen can be developed.
True, but he really is saying, I want to get off of this pin so that I can play the move f5. But then the question is, everybody for 100 years has been playing king h8. Levon says, I want my king on h7. Why did he choose king h7 over king h8?
It's a bit surprising, right?
Isn't
I
it?
mean, really, almost always you put the king on h8.
For sure, because you almost think in these positions where you play d4, you would rather not have to deal with ideas of bishop b3 to c2. Why isn't my king on h8? Interesting moment. I'm going to pause this for a second as we'll let the players. By the way, they came out of the opening pretty close on time.
Well, Fabiano is the one who has more time, 21 minutes, and Levon 18 minutes. Usually it's Levon who is pushing,
He's been
kind
trying.
of pressing Fabiano on his clock, but this time Fabiano is fine.
By the way, I like
d4. It does seem like white is starting to build up a slight edge. I believe f5, which is the very natural follow-up to king h7.
Yes.
That one already allows white to get a significant advantage.
How so? By
I take on e5.
take on e5.
e5, yes.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I
can't
cannot
take
capture with the knight. There is f4 fork.
That's right.
So I'd have to take on c1.
Or you can take with the pawn if you really want to.
I don't like the split pawns in this case. First of all, I can trade queens, which I think is a very good idea. And then I'm ending up isolating this pawn.
Yeah, I take on f5, I go knight g3. Everything seems to be coming with a tempo. It seems to be
Exactly.
just play on one goal at that point.
Okay. Quick question, though,
Yes.
Cristian.
Yes.
We can take on d4, then play f5, perhaps. That way we sidestep the issues you just mentioned.
Now you're just borderline
Worst.
losing. Borderline losing after d5.
After David 5?
d5, yeah.
Did not
Again, it's all
anticipate
about
this
you not being able to go knight e5 easily.
because of f4, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
So again, I
You
have
can
to...
take, and then I take with the rook.
And you play f4 again, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. f4, and I think I will follow that up with e5. If you go knight g6, maybe something else. Even knight g3 ideas, perhaps.
Is that
I like
border-
e5. What if I go e5, e6?
e5 is, yes.
But is this
e6?
really borderline losing?
Yeah, e5 actually is very
Because
strong.
now I also blocked your bishop on c8, so you will no longer be guarding that pawn on f5.
e5, e6 is very strong.
And I have knight g3, bishop c2 if I want to.
Yeah, it's winning for white.
Wow. Wow.
Straight up winning. Like
I'm just-
+2 at this point.
So,
Wow.
+2. Queen g5. I was going to go queen g5, c6, but +2. I'm not going to argue with +2. That's a huge...
d4 is a
Huge
problem,
advantage.
guys. I mean, you know, this king h7 was really a step in the wrong direction.
Truly. Yeah, I'm very, very confused by that. Fabi, with advantage and what looks like to me to be a budding initiative, Levon will question his decision to play king h7. I'm going to switch to the other game of the ladies. Let me catch up with the
We have
players.
Irina Krush now thinking for quite some time what to do
So-
with her position.
After d5, I warned, do not play knight c5 and allow knight d2. In fact, I might go so far as to suggest that the move knight d2 is a strategic threat for white, that white would like to play knight d2 and essentially stifle the attack on the king side. Tatev, aware of what I've just said, went knight g4, bishop g5, f6, bishop h4, g5. Unlike in her game with Alice, where she avoided playing g5, she went knight back to h6 and was playing for f5. She goes g5, bishop g3, f5.
Let's go on the king side.
Let's go. Now, of course, huge, a winning threat, you want to say. F5, F4, trapping the bishop. So Irina had to capture, and we're up to date on the game.
And Irina 16 minutes, Tatev 20 minutes.
Okay. Something feels wrong, though, for black here, right? Something just feels odd. So let's say I play h4. So I would really, really appreciate if you were to capture my pawn on h4, then knight takes h4, and I've got a double threat of knight takes f5, as well as bishop takes g4. So I'm assuming
h6.
You play h6.
I need to defend that pawn.
And now, can I take advantage of this pawn? Kind of sits out there like a sore thumb, doesn't it? Bishop, queen to d2.
Okay, bishop f6. By the way,
Bishop
h3 happened.
Bishop a bishop. There's no way I can take advantage of these. The piece setup feels wrong. Okay, did not happen. I apologize. Let's go to the game. Irina decided, you know what? This knight on g4 is bothering me. Go back. You cannot step back to f6. g5 was hanging. So knight h6. And Irina said, rook to c1. Normally speaking, you try to build up control over the e4 square.
So you still like knight d2.
Followed by knight e4. That would have been my choice. Irina said, you know what? In the King's Indian, you know, you get to play on the king side, I get to play on the queen side. C4, C5's a future C4, C5 on Irina's agenda. How do these two match up in their head-to-head, Kate?
Let's take a look. So the lifetime score here, 14 wins for Irina, 7 losses and 4 draws. So Irina is an uncomfortable opponent to Tatev Abrahamyan, and when we look at the winning probability, it's Irina Krush with 58.2% against Tatev 41.8%.
And that is, of course, for today's elimination. Winning probability from Ben 158. That's quite considerable. So Tatev understands that she's got quite the challenge on her hands. Now, having said that,
she has a number of opportunities here, right?
Yeah.
We can develop rook a e8,
yeah.
Or we can start thinking about, what about e4, what about g4? Do we want to start pushing these pawns?
I think you do, and normally speaking, you want to do it from a position where if you open up the position, you go e4, e3, right? You want to make sure that your pieces are in a position to take advantage of that. My issue is the knight on h6. In my mind's eye, I would much rather have my knight on f5 so that when I go e4 and e3, you know, my knight's ready to bust loose. I would slow play it with bishop g6. You mentioned the move g4. That is really double. You know, you're trading off your g5 pawn.
But I'm also giving the h4 square for your bishop, for your knight. So
yes,
it is a committing move.
It's a very committal move, and I'm just, you know, it's funny. A moment ago, I was playing h4 with the idea to trade my h pawn for the g pawn, and then you did it on your own. It was like, wait a minute, you know, you helped me a little bit. I don't know. I think that's a bit of an overreach. I don't mind playing bishop g6. It's a tempo. I do have e4 on the agenda, but I have knight f5. I would still say jury's out.
So queen d2. I'm looking at that pawn on g5.
That is a bit of an annoyance, right? There is a rook on c1. It does make the move because there is a possibility of an awkward pin.
Awkward pin, but a pawn for me.
All right, let's see.
Okay, so queen captures.
Queen takes g5. Queen takes g5.
Knight
takes.
captures.
I'm taking this bishop just because you know what I mean. And I'm playing bishop h6. Give me your rook.
Okay, I have to play h4.
Right. And now, whether I capture immediately or not, I'm thinking those triple pawns.
Yeah, it's an extra pawn, but a horrible pawn.
Exactly. And I could go knight to c5 and or even maybe knight to b4, looking to try to get an outpost. d4 square. Here I feel not so bad at all. I'm a pawn grabber. And you know when I'm saying I don't like the extra pawn position, something to think. I keep in mind. Clock times of the
15 minutes for Irina, 15 minutes for Tatev. So very balanced
Even
time
Steven.
management so far.
Okay. Cristian, gonna throw it back over to you. What do you have for us?
Well, let's go back to the open
of
section.
course.
We only have 2 games.
Yeah.
I'm
so used to blitz
It's going
playoffs.
to be easy. This one is going to be easy.
All right.
Now, after d4, already, I would say some significant trouble for black. He played the move bishop f6 after a long thing.
An indication
This
that
is
he's
really not good, right? It's not a good sign. You play bishop g5, bishop to f6. This is not what you want.
And
also,
you play
just
king
committed
h7.
to f5. Guess what? You're not getting f5 anytime soon.
Right.
So this was already an indication, especially to both players, but especially to Fabi, that something went wrong for black. Queen to d2, perhaps not the most decisive. The best move in the position, a bit surprising, was taking on e5. And then bishop to c5. It's a bit of a tactical situation, right? You go into this endgame, but it's such a pleasant endgame.
Knight e3.
For the simple fact that this bishop doesn't really have any squares,
No.
right? You go to e6, I take and I infiltrate via d7.
Winning.
You're lost, winning, completely winning. So this one, the engine is already saying close to a +1 advantage.
Big advantage.
Significant, very significant. He didn't do that. He went queen d2. f4, big mistake by Fabiano, f4. Just the wrong moment to do so because you're allowing this move knight to a5. Very good spot. Very good spot by Levon. Knight to g3. And now things are getting a little bit dicey for
Take the
white.
bishop,
You
yeah.
take and then you can go a5. You have the 2 bishops. And where's your attack, right? We were seeing these 2 bishops, but generally white was getting e5, d5, e6. Something going in the center with the majority. Right now you're just simply not getting that. And I have the light square advantage as black. So definitely a good development for Levon in the last couple of moves. But right now, it's all about the clock as well. 11 minutes only for Levon against 19 minutes for Fabiano. And I'm trying to remember the last Grand Chess Tour, just to make a comparison, that Levon played in Poland, I believe it was. And he came with a lot of flair and whatnot, but he started playing very slowly. And then he got in trouble because of that.
Yeah.
You remember that, right? And
right.
I felt like he corrected that for this tournament. But right now,
He overcompensated even.
we'll see if he will struggle with that and struggle to make the time control.
And once again, for those of joining us late, this is our schedule today. The champions are taking a break.
Yes, there are no games in the Champions Bracket. Hikaru Nakamura and Alice Lee are enjoying a rest day. But in the Elimination Bracket, we have 2 rapid games, and if necessary, we will see playoffs.
Nice. Staying with the Fabi versus Levon game for just a moment, I always love it when I make some obscure moves, and then it's sort of like, wow, everything worked out perfect.
B6 on the board.
I was critical of King H7, and I just thought, you know, how amusing it was that after captures, the king is actually perfect on H7 and not, for example, on
Because it's finally
H8,
doing
right?
something. It's guarding that pawn on H6.
It certainly is, and this move that Cristian pointed out with, you know, A5 and Bishop E6, and I don't see why Levon would be unhappy at all. In fact, I think he'd be satisfied. B6.
B6 is a bit
That just looks wrong.
off the beaten track, right? Like,
Wrong.
what exactly are you doing on that side?
Wow. B7,
White is trying to
B6.
attack swiftly on the king side. You need to match that energy somehow. Generally take on f4. Now, if you go f5 as white,
Which is
doesn't
what,
that feel very natural? And
Yeah,
quite
well,
unpleasant?
especially with the knight on G3. I mean, okay, I don't believe I'm quite menacing a piece
Not yet.
sacrifice. But
Not yet.
Yeah. But after f5, Levon is going to feel a little pressure. The rook will quickly shift to the f file as well. No, I'm not a fan of b6.
f5 looks very, very menacing
Yeah.
for the black king.
I really like the idea to just capture that bishop.
Right.
Because the light square bishop is always like extremely important for white and very strong on those two diagonals.
Right. Just wanted to point out, in case we didn't, when we move knight a5, normally speaking, you'd be very happy and just move your bishop away. In this case, the knight is coming to c5 and it's going to capture the other bishop. So either way, black was going to get the two bishops. So this move, f4, was just really badly timed. Knight g3, b6. Oops, sorry, that's my analysis. I'm just going to refresh. We're expecting f5 and...
It's a very typical. I mean,
Pressure.
look, you just played f4.
Right.
You might as well consider f5. Now, another way to change the structure that you might be considering would be to take e takes e5, f takes e5, excuse me, and then d5 perhaps.
fe,
Right.
de, d5.
But now f5 comes, and f4 is...
Now this is a King's Indian you can get behind because f5, f4
you could
is an
get
issue.
attracted by this, right? Because you take on f5 now, and then if you take with the g-pawn, knight h5 perhaps, you do get something. It does look a little bit threatening for black as well.
f4, f5 on the board.
But
though.
f5 is
Exclamation point.
it's the most attractive one.
Absolutely.
And Fabiano played it.
Pause, because I am getting a little bit nervous as black here for just a second. Let me take this guy before he gets too strong, and let me try to break up the fun on the king side. Do I have time to play d5? You can capture on
I'll
e5.
take on e5, yes, yes.
I will recapture. Oh,
But then bishop takes h6?
h6.
No, his idea is
By the way-
bishop a6. Question mark followed by question mark. Something is happening, guys. Something is
Bishop
happening in this one.
a6. Levon is going, well, he's trying to, he's saying, okay, I appreciate you playing f5. You were going to play rook f1. I'm going to control the f1 square. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, is there a refutation to this, Kate?
Just looks suspicious, that
Yes.
bishop on a6.
It does.
Because you can go, like, do you want to go knight c4? If I'm going to capture that knight, right? So
Yes.
if you wanted to trade the knight for the bishop, you could have just captured the bishop.
Yeah, precisely. So one of the things I'm thinking is, if I shut things down, if I play the move d5, you're not really attracted to you. Why would you put your bishop in a gain of tempo? And I'm going to play rook to f1 anyway. So suddenly, when I play the move d5, you're in no hurry to play knight takes b3. But at a certain point, I'm going to move my queen away, right? And then I'm going to threaten to move my bishop away as well.
But what if I just play rook ad1? Like, I
Rook
want to
a1
consider
to d1.
decaptures on e5 to trade the pawns and then maybe move my queen away.
So I'm guessing Levon wanted to do something with the c4 square. What could he?
Like bishop c4?
I know, that's the queen c2, and what am I doing? I don't know. Maybe queen h4? Just, by the way, Fabi says, okay, I really want you to take my bishop, so I'll recapture. So I'm going to move my queen, queen f2, and if you don't capture it now...
You hesitate, and I move it away.
Might as well, yeah.
Right? So let's see. Takes.
But now the
Bishop
bishop is
back.
attacked.
Can I go d5?
Yes, you can.
Why not?
d5, grabbing more
The
space.
thing is, once you go c6, I go c4 and queen h4.
By the way, queen h4, that was a move that I can support, but the timing looks weird. Bishop to c2. Okay, if you're not going to take my bishop, I'm going to go bishop c2,
D5.
d5, and b3.
D5 he played.
Immediately?
Yes.
Okay. And again, Fabi is thinking, it's like a king's Indian defense, but there's no f7, f5 in the position. Usually I have a pawn on f3, you have a pawn on f4, and you've got space.
And Fabi is also enjoying time advantage, 5 minutes extra compared to Levon.
So Fabi has advantage on the clock and a lot of space in both the center and the king side. Normally speaking, you're going to get throttled if you can't create some immediate counterplay. This bishop can become very, very passive. It's funny, he went bishop e7 to g5, back to f6, back to g7, and I'm thinking it'd be a really good idea for him to have his bishop on g5 exactly in this moment. Bishop f6 to g4. Again, I'm thinking that white wants to play bishop to c2,
So
d3.
can we capture the bishop?
Okay.
Knight captures
Yes.
b3, pawn captures,
Yes.
and bishop d3. I know it looks really scary, but let's just try. I'm attacking that pawn, not sure if I'm even threatening to take it.
Well, let me ask you the question. Are you or are you not going to take it? So I'm thinking if you take,
Yes,
I will take. You will capture.
I have to recapture.
Now my f-pawn is hanging, so I'm going to play f6.
I have to go to h8.
And this is the bad news. Suddenly your rook gets exposed by
And you have a discovery attack.
Yes. So I win back a pawn, and unfortunately, that's an exchange. So
With
the
that
pawn,
locked bishop, it's going to be very difficult to look for any counterplay. Rook c8, another question mark.
That's too many questions.
is he on a roll or what?
It is.
I'm thinking bishop a4. I'm thinking bishop a4.
Bishop basically anywhere. Bishop a4, bishop d1, bishop c2, just get the bishop out of the way.
Yeah, I'm just making it difficult for black to play c6 because then I was intending to play b4. Maybe on a good day, I know a moment ago you put your bishop on d3. I'm thinking to put my bishop on d7 so I can take on e6, on g6 and discover a square on the diagonal. This looks really, really good for Fabi. I'm going to just shift our attention to the ladies for just a moment and see what happened. When we left it, Irina had just played the move rook to c1.
And Tatev continued with the move you suggested, bishop g7, clearing that f5 square for the knight.
Exactly. Rook to e1. Okay, rook e8, it's okay. a3.
Preparing b4 push on the queen side.
I'm not exactly sure. You see, this is one of the things. The queen, the most powerful piece on the board, normally speaking, she can be powerful anywhere. So it's you get the other guys in position first. So for me, the knight on h6 needs a job, and putting the knight on f5 would get a priority over the queen. Tatev has just played the move queen f6, and the problem I have with the move queen f6 is now I've got knight e4 as an answer to knight f5. Okay, big question.
So if white continues with b4, because that's the idea, right? I want to push b4, c5.
I guess I don't see a better decision than e4 now.
Now probably knight h2.
Okay, knight h2. Is it? We're hoping for some action.
And that's the problem, because if I go f3, now you will jump with that knight to f5.
And I'll be very happy. F3, knight to f5. By the way, don't look now, but even queen is coming to d4. No, I don't like this b4. It feels a little loose. I would probably be more inclined, again, sorry to be repetitive, knight to d2. I'm threatening to go knight e4.
So if I go now knight c5?
b4.
Yeah, I realized if I go knight d3, I probably help you to get rid of that light square bishop. Oh, you even go this one?
Yeah, I think I just win material, unfortunately.
Oh, because you are blocking
The queen.
that bishop from guarding the knight.
Precisely. precisely.
So knight c5, that's not useful.
Just a bad timing.
So knight f5, we need to continue, allow you to jump on e4.
Right.
Then
Knight to e4.
put the queen back, queen e7.
And again, it's kind of like, well, didn't I just lose a little bit of time going to and fro? Now your knight is a little bit... No, I feel like Tatev, you know, yes, she could put her knight on d4, and I will make the argument that's a good square, but one good piece, a couple of not so good pieces, bishop to g4, bishop to h5, are moves for white. I like what Irina's got.
So one more try.
Please.
Queen f6, so let's go back to the current position.
Yep.
You are suggesting knight d2.
I am.
I will play e4.
Okay.
I'm not going to allow you to jump on that square.
And now my question for you is your pawn hanging? I want to play knight takes e4.
Mm-hmm.
Knight c5,
So
b4,
I'm looking at queen d4,
queen d4.
d3.
I'm taking a pawn, right? And
Oh,
I've got
just
it.
like that?
I'm a pawn grabber. You know me. I think I can get away with that.
Yeah, it looks like you can. Mm-hmm.
And remember, everybody, this is a mini match. The players are switching colors after the game. In case it's 1-1 after 2 rapid games, we've got blitz playoffs ahead of us. E3. Now, here you might wonder if you've got something, but my question would be, why did you have to sacrifice a pawn? I mean,
Well, it was hanging, and I just don't want to lose it, just you recapturing it with the knight.
right. So
It looks like I like black's position, but it's kind of difficult to break in on the king side.
I've got white. Irina has a lot of defenders. I mean, she's got her pawn shield intact. The bishop on g3. By the way, this bishop sometimes does some really nice work defending the king. And if Irina, I think, like yourself, I think Irina is thinking, I would just like to freeze the knight.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think she's really focused on the move b4, because otherwise she would have played knight d2. She's, you know, flipping in her mind. Knight d2, b4. Knight d2, b4. Those are the two moves.
But she's getting lower on time, 6 minutes only compared to Tatev's 9 minutes. And she made a move, bishop d3.
Okay.
So none of the options we considered.
Well, essentially, she's still trying, she's fighting for control over the e4 square, right? And she's thinking this bishop could be a more dangerous. Now, the question is, takes, right?
Tempo, knight c5.
Knight c5. Tatev will feel very, very good at getting her knight back in the game. I'm assuming we want to defend the b3 square. So I was thinking queen c2, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm assuming we want to take this bishop.
Because we are happy that the control of e4 doesn't allow you to attack my queen.
And then we get here. So what I'm trying to do is extend the diagonal of my bishop so that if I force you to play knight takes, pawn takes, then I've got d3 on my agenda. And look at this. At the end of the rainbow, I've got d3, d2 as a possibility, and queen takes. So suddenly something has gone wrong, and Irina is going to have to consider what she's going to do. Cristian, jump in.
And that one definitely feels balanced. One of them that was not very balanced, after this move, rook to c8, a lot of question marks.
Yeah, there was a whole
by
series
Levon.
of...
A whole series. Queen h4 maybe the most normal move out of all of them. Bishop c2, best move. But guess what? Levon is getting back in the game. c6, take on c6, perhaps not the best move, but not a bad move either. Knight to c4, start with this one so that the bishop goes to c1. Good attempt. b3, knight to a5. And at this point, what he should have done is play the move rook to e3. Now, there's a very specific reason. Of course, you're defending the pawn on c3, but you're also looking at rook to f3. This is critical to your attack. This is the way you want to improve your action on the f5.
So you
right?
can threaten to take on g6.
Once the rook lands on f3, you threaten to take on g6.
Right.
It's pretty much game over if you don't pay
Right.
attention with black. So rook to e3 would have been a very good move. He played the move c4, question mark. You might be wondering, I mean, this looks like a very natural move, right? He found a very good move. Rook to c7 next. This is the idea. Knight to c6, knight to d4. Help me land that knight on d4. If I manage to get the knight in the center, then the position explodes, right? Because most likely you will need to take that knight with the bishop. And then this bishop on g7, finally, even if you do take that pawn on d4, this bishop on d7 is going to become a monster in the position. So very good move by Levon. Rook to c7, bishop to e3, and knight to c6. White is still better, but he's completely back in the game. Black, I would say, from a practical perspective, he's completely back in the game. This one is going to become a melee in the next few moves.
All right, and the clock times again?
10 minutes for Fabi, still 2-1. Levon Aronian dropping down to his last 5 minutes. 2-1 advantage for Fabiano. Definitely some pressure, but at least Levon has the easier moves right now.
Right, exactly.
Rook c7, knight c6, knight to d4. Let's try to keep an eye on this one and let's see. How would you guys continue after this move, knight to c6, as white? How would you continue your attack?
I'm assuming rook to d1, bring the pieces into the center. Rook to d1. Oh, let me just do it on my board and I refresh.
Rook to d1, nice. We are targeting that pawn on d6.
Knight to d4. I like my bishops, so I'm going to try to keep b5, try to keep d5 under arrest. I think he started with
bishop d3, and they list out a few moves.
They're going fast
so
now.
Bishop d3, knight d4.
So in this position, I think my suggestion was for rook d1, bishop d3, no problems with that. Knight d4, no problems with rook f1 either. I mean, we're not threatening to capture the rook, although...
but f6 can look very appealing, just locking that bishop on h8.
That's right. The move f6, and if the bishop ends up stuck on h8 for the rest of the game, you'll be playing a piece down. To my way of thinking, this knight on d4 is black's best piece. So the idea of f6 and knight to e2 to get rid of these two pieces would be very attractive.
b5.
Wow.
To try to distract that pawn chain on the queen side.
Okay, essentially he is allowing Fabi to make that bishop very, very passive. Is he justified? Shall we have a look? Let's just take a look. I'm assuming Levon wants to capture.
But then you capture the bishop and the rook is attacked.
No chance. Sorry.
You have to move the bishop to h8.
You absolutely have to move the bishop to h8. Apologies. Taking on d4. Now
there is a decision.
Nothing to decide. You can't take on d4 and allow takes on b5. You got to take. You got to take on c4. Okay. Now pause for a moment. I just want to see. I just want to have a visual of this. Bishop takes, pawn takes, pawn takes. So I won a pawn, right? And this pawn, on the moment, still survives.
So rook fc8?
Rook fc8, rook c1. You attack me, I attack.
Queen g5.
You're not afraid of pawn number 2? I guess not.
I mean, I'm taking.
You got rook c6.
Well. Yes.
Hold on.
I'm taking one of the pawns, either on c4 or c6. So I'm going to go queen g5. Try to get on dark squares.
Okay.
That queen was not really doing much.
That's pawn number 2.
Rook c6 or rook c4. Let's take that pawn. Let's take on c4.
Okay, and I munch, and I play e5. I'm really, really happy that I've cemented the pawn on f6.
This feels like it is completely lost for
right?
black.
Queen e7 on white's agenda.
It's looking good.
It's looking good.
Definitely looking good.
Okay.
Do I have any tactics, though?
Tactics. Tricks are for kids.
like I can definitely get to the e5 pawn with queen e3, rook c5. The problem is you have all these queen e7 ideas. And,
I do.
They're very unpleasant.
I do. I love these queen e7 ideas.
Yeah, they're very unpleasant. Now I actually have no way to defend that.
And by the way, I mean, this guy is only 2 squares away from
You can try to
coronation. I mean, it's starting to look
So let's follow with your idea. Initially, after queen g5,
Oh, sorry.
all the way to...
We're looking at f6.
Yeah, yeah.
Bishop
your whole
back.
variation.
Bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, bishop takes. So we went down this very forcing sequence, and
So let's say rook c8.
rook c8,
Again,
rook
your
c1.
whole idea. Meeting queen takes d6, queen g5, queen takes d6 with rook c6 to target the pawn on f6.
Okay.
I think that makes much more sense. Queen, rook c7, rook 8 c7,
Rook 8 to
to be
c7.
more precise.
Let's say queen d5.
Queen d5. Let's say bishop takes f6 now.
No trickies on against the f7 pawn. I was hoping for an e5. Nope, doesn't make sense. Apologies. Right here, we'll go back. I made an error.
So let's go rook takes f6 now.
Careful. Rook takes f6. I'm assuming I go e5. I'm trying
I like that.
to get to the f7 pawn. This has your stamp of approval.
I mean, now that black
Queen
captures the
takes
rook on
e5.
f1, we have the other rook of the open file.
Rook takes f1.
And the end of the day, I only got 1 pawn. Maybe not.
And I think that's what... I'm not sure you keep that. Well, you cannot take on a7 is the problem.
I'm so eager.
I think the bishop is very strong. Bishop.
I
First of all, I
think-
can just take on g3. That's a
And you'll make a draw.
That's a
No
draw,
question
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep that. And who has been thinking?
Oh, Fabi's
Fabi.
thinking a lot.
Okay. The other simple thing I can do is I can just take on b5 and play f6, and just to try
Bishop
to...
takes d4.
Okay, it's all very forced. He's got to take. He has. He played Levon, recaptured on a c4 immediately.
You have so many ways to continue this one. Bishop takes a7.
Wow.
That
you
was
have to take the...
unexpected.
I
You have
think
to
this
take
is
the
what he
bishop?
wants. Take on d3, and now queen to b6 is his idea.
Queen to b6.
That's a
not
double
even-
attack, guys.
Double attack on the rook and the bishop.
Nice. Somehow that escaped my attention, but queen b6,
Can you go queen e7 now?
yes, but then you're just in a terrible ending. I will capture this runaway criminal on, and I've got 2 connected pass points, but more importantly, I have a very good knight against a rather passive...
But that
Bishop.
bishop will get active now that you haven't played f6. So you've lost that opportunity to go f6 to lock
By
the
the
bishop
way,
in.
now that you mention it, after the move queen e7, can I play f6
Can I take?
and take?
You take on f6, I take on a7.
Oh, somehow I came up empty. I was capturing too many pieces, but yes, you can capture on e7.
But we
Sorry.
can do now bishop b8.
Okay, bishop b8.
That's crafty.
Now I have a couple of options, but probably I should go rook b7.
This is very crafty of Kate. Her idea is that she wants to play having shunted in the bishop on g7. She
I'm a
wants to
little
play
worried
f6.
about allowing that pawn on d3 to go forward to still be alive.
Right. I like capturing on a6 and capturing on d3. I think that is a very concrete and easy answer for white. White's going to be a pawn up.
2
Yes, I
minutes
think
and
this
50
looks-
seconds for Levon, dropping very very quickly, and 5 minutes 30 seconds for Fabiano. So
I mean, I know what I'm doing. I'm pushing my pawns, and
No one is stopping those pawns.
yeah, and this knight is going to one day land on a beautiful outpost in the middle of the board. That knight on d5 will be supporting the queen side as well. I like this queen d8. Let me read the one move we didn't look at. Queen d8. Wow.
So the
Queen
idea is
D8.
after queen captures bishop, we have queen a8,
Yes,
pinning the bishop.
that is true. But
But you
boy,
can still capture the pawn on d3,
always.
log the bishop after f6. Oh, but queen takes a7 is with check.
Correct.
At least something out of all that is in my favor. So we are not gonna log that bishop there so easily. Queen captures a6.
Queen a8
Queen
on the
a8
board.
on the board.
Now I can throw in f6, and I can also, I find myself drawn to f takes g6 as well. d6 is hanging, d3 is hanging. Levon is doing his best to try to make things a little bit murky, but I'm also, gosh, I feel like a kid in a candy shop. I've got f5, f6, forcing the bishop back to h8 as well. All right, let's
keep going with that, right?
f6 or just takes? Let's
Whichever you
assume
want,
I can
whichever
always
you want.
play f6.
Sure.
I'll take
Even though that's a big assumption.
Yes.
Because right now I can go rook to d8, and there's no more f6. I can go bishop f8 at least.
Yes. But
I don't know if that helps me at all, but I have that option.
it's your choice. Knight to e2 to c3 to d5 is my dream. a4, a5, a6.
I mean, I think your dream is right now take my pawn on d6.
Shh. don't tell Cristian. And Fabi's trying to become a gold member of the Pawn Grubbers Association. He just captured on d3. I'm going to refresh my board.
Yeah, they
Clock
went.
times, if you don't mind, Kate.
4 minutes for Fabi, 2 minutes 38 seconds for Levon.
Levon has been playing very, very quickly throughout this tournament. This is one of those few rare games.
It's the first game
that
where he's
he's-
down on the clock.
Exactly. Now, I'm looking, I see the rook coming to c2, I see the rook coming to c3. I'm thinking knight e2 with the idea of a4. Like I can allow one rook to penetrate to c2, but knight e2, a4, pardon me, knight e2, rook c2, a4.
You don't want
Are
to take that
we-
pawn on d6?
I want it all. I want it now. I do want to
What's
take
the problem
pawn
with
on
taking on
d6.
d6? I'm
There
trying
is
to
no
understand
problem.
what the problem is. There must be a problem, right? I mean,
There's
it's
no problem.
He's just giving it away like that.
Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Maybe rook d7 after queen takes
Queen
d6.
takes d6, rook d7 it's just a momentary discomfort, isn't it?
I'm not
Queen
sure
takes
because I am
d6.
connecting my rooks on the second rank.
Rook d7 takes.
Queen e6.
Queen e6.
Yes, rook c2 perhaps.
Rook c2. I'm a little bit leery.
Right. It looks like it doesn't do much, but I think those rooks connecting
There's some
on the second
activity,
rank,
though.
They might be problematic.
Yeah, there's activity.
Like for example, if you go a4 right now,
Yeah.
and I go rook to d2, rook 7 d2, you go rook f7, and you're like, oh, you're having an amazing position, and maybe you do have an amazing position.
Steinitz versus Chigorin.
You don't have that, unfortunately.
No, I take your queen.
No, you just simply take my queen. Yeah,
Ha ha ha. No perpet.
unfortunately not.
Yeah.
What if we switch just for a second
Please.
to the game of Irina, Krush, and Tatev Abrahamyan? Because
Okay,
Tatev,
let's
it looks
catch
like
up.
she has this open file now. Let's see what happened.
After queen c2, Irina said, you know what? I like shutting down e5, e4 by putting my knight on the e4 square. Yes, you can take my bishop, but this bishop is passive. And I think she made a very accurate judgment, did Irina. Bishop h2, an intimation that she might play for g4, not sure. h5,
And we go
there
h5. We go g4. We want to push forward.
Knight to d4.
And now this move, queen h4, we are threatening bishop h6. That's a skewer, but also we are saying maybe the rook can come to f6 and h6 just to threaten a checkmate.
Rover, bishop h6. Even some ideas of rook f3 could be problematic. Queen e3, that doesn't look like a very good move. Rook c, ooh, well, rook h6, Irina.
Also, bishop h6, bishop f4. I can be thinking about improving that bishop.
Irina might be getting herself into a bit of a tangle. Knight to e4, queen to g3. I'm getting a little bit nervous about White's king. White's king is coming under a great deal of pressure. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I know. I can use the...
30 seconds for Irina Krush.
Ooh, it's getting nerve-wracking. I think I should be playing knight f1, queen g3, and rook e4. So Irina knows her king is getting under pressure, and guess what?
Knight f1 on the board.
Knight f1. So she's got to seize the defensive and play it very, very carefully. Queen to g3 and rook e4. If she can get a rook to e4, she'll be able to turn the table and attack this pawn on g4. That's a linchpin in the attack. We've been looking at knight f3, rook f3 ideas. So this pawn on g4, if you can go rook e4, queen g3, eliminate the pawn, she's doing great, but her clock time, ooh, nerve-wracking moment. What should Tatev play?
I mean, there are some ideas with like knight f3 or rook f3 to try to sacrifice something, but black has only a queen afterwards to attack the king, so I don't think that's going to work. Right. Maybe we can double the rooks. Rook e to f8, allowing your queen g3.
Rook e to f8, queen g3, then what was
and then
the
we
intention?
drop back, queen h5.
Okay, queen h5, you'd be threatening maybe at last a capture on f2. That makes a lot of sense. Rook h6, and she played that as if she's the one in time trouble, is she?
Well, she has 42 seconds, but Irina Krush, 15 seconds now.
Well, this move, queen g3 and rook e4, looks like a very good defensive reaction.
Queen e4.
Queen e4.
So that is
so she wants to
control
go
of that pawn on f2. Only king is now attacking it.
I'm not sure that she... Whoa. I think she... It's funny. I like the rook on e4 and I like the queen on g3. Irina has put... She reversed them. But rook f4... No, I don't like...
Where do you go now with the queen? You cannot go to e3. There is a fork on f5.
I think no matter what you do, I go knight f5.
That is a problem. But at least knight f5, knight takes, pawn takes.
Not really, because it takes f1.
You're right. Rook takes f... This appears to me that Tatev, Irina has misplayed it, and her pieces are all jammed up. Tatev winning attack.
3 seconds for Irina. She's
going to lose on time.
No, she managed with 1 second on the clock.
No way. But knight takes g3, capturing. You can't capture with the bishop. That's checkmate on the board. You capture with the queen. Yes. You'll be an exchange down. I'll just take. And she's taken the knight. Irina's lost. That's it. Irina is lost, and she now realizes that pawn takes, rook takes f1 check, and Tatev wins.
The attack on the h-file is too strong.
And she has resigned.
Because she had no time, she flagged.
Tatev wins the first game with the black pieces. And
let's go to the other game, really quick.
Our congratulations to Tatev, by the way.
A lot of things have changed in this one.
Fabi's still material ahead. But if you don't mind, I'm just going to do a quick recap. Oops, sorry, that wasn't, okay, he did go knight e2, d5. Well, there goes the pawn, queen e6. Does this look familiar? Knight to g1, that's a surprise move.
Looking to go to f3.
Rook takes h, okay, that's a dirty trick. Knight g5, and a checkmate on the back rank.
So if you take on a1,
yes,
made it.
You get mated.
That's why bishop f6 came
Bishop
really
f6,
quickly.
and then rook to d1. And I still like Fabi. I think Fabi has an amazing position.
He's a pawn up, but black, Levon, has a lot of activity in the position, especially with that queen on a6, covering up the 6th rank. Now I can maybe just go rook to e2, try to target that pawn on e4. You have to be careful as white as well. Nevertheless, it is white with the advantage, Fabi with the advantage extra pawn.
Exactly. Clock times again.
Both players have 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute.
You got to keep your nerves in these.
Queen to b5.
To b5. Okay, targeting the pawn on b3.
But now h4 is coming.
And he's done it.
h4, h5, softening up the light squares.
Well, we
around
are
the king.
threatening also knight g5 check.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
So that if you take with the pawn, I can take the bishop.
Queen b5 was not a good move by Levon, and right now Fabiano is closing in.
Don't touch that pawn on b3 either. That would be a nasty, nasty discovered check.
h4 was an excellent move by Fabiano.
Threatening knight g5 check.
So can we go queen e2? I want to grab that pawn on e4.
I like your thinking. Queen e2, grab the pawn. Queen e2.
But now knight g5.
Just
queen c6.
Okay, that defends the bishop.
And
that
also targets that pawn on e4.
Now perhaps rook to d5, defending and attacking at the same time. Defending the pawn on e4 and attacking the pawn on e5.
Okay, this is the first game. Fabi White, but with 1 minute versus just seconds for Levon. Fabi enjoying an extra pawn, and he has the initiative. Seems to me he should be winning.
15 seconds for Levon. He needs to go h5 perhaps and queen to g4. No,
but
bishop
rook
g7.
d6.
Rook d6.
Rook d6,
G6.
queen f7. Only move to protect everything.
Rook d6 makes a very nice coordinated attack.
Only move would be queen to f7. Try to defend that. And then how do you double up on the 6th rank? Perhaps rook c6, rook d6.
He's done it.
That's the start.
Rook d6.
And rook to f1.
By the way,
ooh, knight
alert.
g5.
Discovered
a knight
attack.
g5 alert. We've been here before.
You have to hide that queen on e8 right now. Tuck that queen in.
You know, at a certain moment, h5 is just, and he's done it.
Queen g4.
He's eyeballing a chance to play the move h5 in order to wrest control over the f5
Oh,
square.
h5 is coming.
Yes.
h5 is coming, and it's coming quickly.
Also, it's possible to start rook c1, rook c6. We want to double the rooks on the 6th rank.
I like that.
5 seconds for Levon. He needs to make a move.
Rook c2. I think Levon heard you. That rook c1, rook c6.
He's trying to go rook c6.
So let's go b4, b5, b6.
Excuse me, h5, anybody?
h5,
No, I
I'm
wanna
probably going to have to
promote.
take that.
h5?
I'm going to have to take that.
Check.
Close my eyes and take it.
Check, and I will bring my knight into the game?
b4.
b4, who is stopping this pawn?
That's a darn good question.
Fabiano is enjoying a close to 1 minute advantage.
Good
Levon.
move
Now
by
it's time to
20
double the
seconds right
rooks. Rook d1.
Yeah, good move by Levon. This rook on c6 is seriously aggressive.
Well, now you can take on c6 and h5.
Yeah, I always had that, right?
Yes, but h5 with a queen on e8 gives up a pawn. Without a queen on e8, I mean, you're just a pawn up.
Good point. So rook c6, rook takes c6, queen takes c6, h5. Captures twice on h5. We have knight g5 in our pocket.
30
I still
seconds.
prefer
like
just
rook
to double
d1.
the rooks.
I'm with you, Kate. I like, that's got my seal of approval as well. Rook to d1.
To d1 is played.
These guys are good.
And 15 seconds for Levon.
Yes.
Now perhaps I can try to go rook takes d6 followed by rook to b7 and say that without the rook on the f file, maybe my queen.
He's
yes,
done
rook
it?
takes and rook b7. Yes,
Rook b7.
he's following up the plan, trying to take that pawn on b4, reestablish the material balance.
Okay, I'm eager to play h5.
Let's go h5.
Is there any reason for rook e6?
We can definitely try that, but then
Rook
queen to
e6.
f7.
Queen f7, knight takes...
h5.
Yes.
He's going for it finally, following your instructions.
Well, but I'm not sure.
But
I
what's the
mean,
follow-up, guys?
yeah, exactly.
What is the follow-up?
I want my knight in the game is what I want.
If you give me the b4 pawn, Finally, black is going to be a pawn up.
Which
Black
would be
was
it.
a couple of pawns down.
The irony
only
is that
10
black
moves
was,
ago.
exactly.
So rook e6. No, knight h4 immediately.
He's trying to make a light squared infiltration. Question, rook takes b4.
Rook takes b4 is an option. Rook f7 perhaps is an option as well.
Rook f7. Yeah, rook e6. Yeah, rook f7 is legit.
Rook takes
Rook
b4.
takes b4.
Knight g6.
Now,
Going for it.
Knight g6 or rook to c6?
Knight
g6.
Improving that knight.
Now you have to cover
Okay.
up the 7th
Because now
rank
rook
once again.
c6 could be a threat. Wanting to go to c8, and you cannot touch that rook because there's always fork with knight
Exactly.
e7.
Cover up the 7th rank.
Necessary.
Probably the best
Absolutely
move by
necessary.
Levon.
Okay, we can just take a pawn back.
That's
And just
exactly what
say-
he goes for.
You know, I've got pretty nice attacking pieces.
Can I go queen f7 though? How do you...
Queen f7, I got king h2.
Right. But what's the
Thankfully-
attack? What's the idea?
Thankfully,
Rook
Rook
f7.
f7.
Okay.
Setting up a trick
what's your trick?
if you capture the pawn on e5, but actually that pawn is twice defended, so that doesn't even work.
I'm never gonna. I kind of
That
like.
was rook f1 discovered a tag on that queen.
I kind of
King
like.
h2.
Okay, maybe on a good day I can go knight h4 back to f5. That's the square I really want the knight. The knight loves protected squares.
10 seconds for Levon.
Rook
f6.
Okay, we're going
That's
to
a
go
mistake, guys.
queen versus
Just
knight.
take and queen takes h6. That's
a
an extra pawn.
It's a good pawn.
It's a great pawn.
Oh, I don't like that decision.
Oh, it's a great pawn. Right now, Fabi seems to be winning
Cruising.
once again.
Oh my goodness! Because again, these pieces are just menacing. Queen.
Queen f8. That's
Oh
it. Game over.
That's
no!
Game over. Queen takes
Hold on.
f6.
Is
No,
there
there's
no?
nothing.
No, there's no
nothing.
stalemate. I can't go queen h3, and Levon knows it. Knight f8.
He just realized it. He shook
He
his head.
blundered queen f8.
And
That's
that
it.
forces resignation, pretty much.
Wow, we're gonna have 2 victories to start.
5 seconds on the clock.
Resignation. They will switch colors and do it all again. Fabi knocked Levon out of the champions bracket, and he's on the cusp of winning. How close was that, Cristian? Just at the end there, he blundered the h6 pawn.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the closing mistake for black. At this point,
this isn't
just go
so
to f1. It's not easy. Look, I mean, the
easy,
king on g8
right?
is extremely weak, right?
Right.
You're not feeling very secure. Let's just put it that way, right? But after rook to f1, things seem to
King
be just fine.
h7,
Yes,
you just-
exactly. King to h7 is next. Queen to f7.
It's
Why
not so easy to break
it's,
through.
It's equal. Objectively, this is equal.
Okay.
Objectively, this is equal. Of course, after rook to f6, even
Win
this
a
position,
pawn?
even if you don't give up the bishop and you keep contact with queen to f7, this is still pretty bad. Knight to h4 like this. And the thing is,
Queen ending?
the queen ending is bad. The queen ending is bad
Really?
because I'm going to get the queen to f5 very quickly. And then I'm just simply going to start pushing. Your king is just simply too weak. Your king on g8 is too weak. I'm always going to be able to threaten the exchange of the queens and the entering into a queen and pawn, king and pawn endgame, winning endgame.
Ironic. Let's just relive those moments as we got the players came down just 10 seconds, 5 seconds,
And rook f6, the big mistake.
allowing Fabi to trade rooks and pick up the h6 pawn. That's mistake number 1, but this one really ends the game, literally on the spot. You cannot allow queen f8 check, which is unfortunately for Levon with no time on his clock.
Yes, Levon was trying to trade the queens maybe on the h file, but forgot that after queen d7, Fabi has queen f8.
Oof. And that was a cold realization for Levon.
Because that's a bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all he had to do at this point was watch his clock dwindle down to the last final few seconds, which forces resignation.
And in the ladies' game, something very, very similar happened to Irina. I thought Irina had a safe position, but at the end,
So Fabiano Caruana won with white pieces against Levon Aronian, and Irina Krush lost against Tatev Abrahamyan, who was black. So now Tatev is gonna have the advantage of white pieces.
and wow, a big turnaround at the very, very end. Time trouble makes fools of us all. We are getting ready for our break before we start the second game in these mini matches. And as we do that, we check in with our friends at QBoutiqueSTL.com. They gave me this readout, and it said, water bottle.
Look at those colors, those are beautiful water bottles.
Stay hydrated with the World Chess Hall of Fame double insulated aluminum water bottles that have a popular and efficient design. This bottle can maintain an even temperature for hours longer than the average water bottle. 16 ounces of water can go into this bottle. It's amazing. It's just incredible. Comes with a proper care instruction sheet as well. All your chess shopping needs are available at QBoutiqueSTL.com. I don't make the copy.
It's all about QBoutique. It's all about these beautiful ad reads, I have to say.
What's coming up
more and
for
more
our
impressed by
viewers? I believe.
Yes,
none.
viewers during the break can learn more about Nona Gaprindashvili, a very strong chess player.
Absolutely. World champion. It's
Today we meet the first ever woman to be awarded the title of Grandmaster, Nona Gaprindashvili. She was born in the spring of 1941 in a small town named Zugdidi in Georgia. Chess was an extremely popular game among all Georgians, but unlike many other countries at the time, it was an especially common hobby for women. So it's no surprise that little Nona would be exposed to the game early on. Her father taught her the rules when she was 5 years old, and she'd spend her early years getting regularly defeated by her brothers. Some believe this fierce personal competition with her siblings would lay the groundwork for the signature boldness she'd show in her games later on. After 7 years of playing, fate would see Nona cross paths with Vakhtang Karsaladze, a well-known chess trainer who immediately saw her potential and convinced her family to let her move to the Georgian capital of Tbilisi to train with grandmasters. Her sharp and aggressive approach to the game would often rattle her opponents and gave her a well-deserved reputation as a fierce competitor. In 1961, she won the Women's Candidates Tournament, which gave her the opportunity to challenge for the Women's World Championship, then held by Russian Elizaveta Bykova the next year. Their 1962 showdown in Moscow lasted 11 games throughout September and October. Despite her best attempts, Bykova was unable to overcome Nona's aggressive play. With a final score of 7 victories, 4 draws, and no losses, Nona Gaprindashvili became the 5th person to ever hold the title of Women's World Champion. This victory cemented her as a symbol of Georgian pride at the young age of 21. She'd go on to win the Women's World Championship 4 more times. 3 of these matches were against Alla Kushnir, while the last was against Nana Alexandria, a fellow Georgian, whose formal training was also kick-started by Vakhtang Karsaladze. In 1978, Nona would face yet another Georgian player, Maya Chibernidze, who would finally dethrone her. But her reign as Women's World Champion is still one of the most impressive runs in the history of the game, and the second longest reign after only Vera Menchik. And while losing the title of champion in 1978 would have to sting, that same year she'd make history for a different title earned, the first woman to be awarded the title of Grandmaster by FIDE. She was granted this distinction for her impressive performance in the 1977 Lone Pine International Tournament, where she had the highest performance rating in a field of 48 players and defeated 4 grandmasters. But most importantly, she shared first place in a 4-way tie with Yuri Balashov, Oscar Pano, and Dragutin Sahovic. Never before had a woman won a men's tournament. Throughout her career, she'd also won the Women's Soviet Chess Championship 5 times. and she had a near perfect record in Olympiads with 10 team gold medals in 11 competitions while representing the USSR and Georgia. Even in her golden years, she never slowed down. In 2009, she placed first in the World Senior Women's Chess Championship. Her consistent dominance against both male and female players for over half a century made her a household name for chess fans worldwide. Which is why it's so heartbreaking when the popular Netflix series Queen's Gambit, a show about a fictional female chess player, falsely claimed Nona had never played against men. Nona sued the streaming giant for defamation and settled the matter in 2022. But the thought that so many people without chess backgrounds could have seen this show and been misinformed about her true impact on the game is still unfortunate. Nona Gaprindashvili's legacy is that of a trailblazer, a champion, and a true grandmaster of the game.
Mark your calendar. The 2025 Strategy Across the Board Gala is Saturday, August 16th at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel. Enjoy fine dining and world-class entertainment, all while helping to support chess education, cultural exhibits, and public programming at the St. Louis Chess Club and World Chess Hall of Fame. To learn more and to purchase tickets and sponsorships, please visit stlouischessclub.org.
Hey everyone, I'm International Master Eric Rosen, and I'm going to be doing in-person commentary for the American Cup at the St. Louis Chess Club, so feel free to come and join me here along with the Grandmaster in residence. We'll be taking on questions and watching the top players across the country battle it out for a lot of prize money, so hope to see you here.
"10 years, one legacy." The Grand Chess Tour marks a decade of mastery where only the strongest chess minds carve their names into history. Each piece has its role, like soldiers in a grand army, with commanders to lead them into the tour's 10th year and a prize fund of $1.6 million. The Grand Chess Tour starts in Warsaw with the Superbet Rapid and Blitz Poland, immediately followed by the Superbet Chess Classic Romania in Bucharest, then off to Zagreb for the Super United Rapid and Blitz Croatia, followed by back-to-back events in St. Louis, Missouri with the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz and the Sinkfield Cup. And the culmination of the grand finale in the city of Sao Paulo, Brazil, will determine the 2025 Grand Chess Tour champion. Fight with every ounce of strength for victory. This isn't just a moment. This is history.
You know Q Boutique at the World Chess Hall of Fame has the region's best selection of chess sets. But this store is so much more. Discover our masterfully curated selection of unique jewelry, clever kids games that nurture critical thinking and creativity, quirky greeting cards, books for all ages, and a wide variety of locally made goods. Find just what you're looking for at Q Boutique at the World Chess Hall of Fame.
Do you want to know more about great female players in chess history? Throughout all of March, the World Chess Hall of Fame is offering free pamphlets to guests exploring the rich history of women in chess. Learn about legendary greats like Vera Menchik and Nona Gaprindashvili, modern stars like Irina Krush and Carissa Yip, and so many more. This Women's History Month, discover the real queens of the game at the World Chess Hall of Fame.
If you love playing chess and want to put your skills to the test, the St. Louis Chess Club welcomes you to our monthly open tournaments. This is your chance to compete in a 5-round Swiss system tournament with 2 sections: Open, which is FIDE rated, and Under 1800. Feel the thrill of competition as you contend for a share of $4,200 in prizes every month. To learn more and to register, please visit stlouischessclub.org.
Ladies, are you looking for something fun to do? Do you want to make new friends and broaden your horizons? Ladies' Night is the premier all-female chess event in St. Louis. Every Wednesday night, you can meet and play with new people while learning one of the world's most popular games from a certified woman grandmaster. Plus, St. Louis Chess Club members can attend for free. Whatever your age or skill level, you're welcome at Ladies' Night.
Welcome back.
Everyone.
2 games finished. Let's take a look at the results.
2 decisive games.
Yes. So Fabiano Caruana won against Levon Aronian with white pieces, and Irina Krush lost to Tatev Abrahamyan.
Also with the white pieces. So, ooh boy. Tell us about the schedule for today.
Yes, we are moments away from the next game, but for tomorrow we will have the Champions Bracket. We will have the first classical game of the match.
And we've already had 2 champions of the Champions Bracket picking up their bonus money.
Congratulations to International Master Alice Lee, who is the champion in the Women's Champions Bracket, and she receives the bonus of $9,000.
Well done.
In the open section is Hikaru Nakamura with the Champions bonus of $15,000.
Also very, very impressive play by Hikaru. Both those players are waiting for the winners of these 2 matches
They are
that we're
taking
about
a rest
to see.
day today,
Yep.
recovering to be ready to fight back tomorrow.
Do we get a rest day? I don't remember getting a rest
We
day.
should,
Did
right?
you get a What do they think about the commentators? No, they don't. What does Levon have to do to bounce back into this match?
He needs to do exactly what he did in the previous matches as well against Fabiano, to win on demand with the white pieces.
Yeah.
He's done that already once in, I believe it was Rapid, or perhaps was it Blitz? It was Blitz.
Yeah.
And that was a brilliant performance, by the way. It's going to be much more difficult because in Rapid,
Yeah,
you
you
have
got a lot
more
more
time to try to figure out your defense. You're not going to be able to create as many imbalances, but that's exactly what he needs to do right now. And Irina has done it as well. She won on demand as well. So
Have to win with black on demand. That's a big ask.
Yeah.
And we've got Ben Underwood's statistical analysis, pie charts. Take it away,
Let's
Kate.
take a look. So in the women's section, this is pre-tournament chances to win the tournament. Karisayip with the highest chances, 36.8%. Second, Alice Lee, and third, Irina Krush. 2 names that always manage to play each other in the finals. After day 1, not much has changed. The same 3 names are leading with the chances. After day 2, Tatev Abrahamyan is slowly increasing her chances.
Well, she went from
going there.
6 to 8.
It's something.
But now
it was the match where Irina Krush lost the first game, I believe, and Alice Lee, 45.4% chances to win. And we see Tatev Abrahamyan going closer now. She's the second with 25.9%. But Alice Lee is still clearly dominating the chart.
But we're about to see Carissa crash out. She had the highest percentage coming into the tournament. She crashes out of the event.
She was eliminated, and now it's Alice Lee still with the highest chances. Wow, 63.8% to win the event. Second, Irina Krush, and third, Tatev Abrahamyan. And Nazi Paikidze in this moment is already eliminated. In the open section, pre-tournament, Fabiano Caruana with the highest chances, 29.2%, Hikaru Nakamura second, and Wesley So third.
I think we're going to see.
Nothing changed after day 1 because all draws happen in the tournament.
You're going to see Hikaru and Fabi at the top, being joined by Levon,
Still enjoying advantage.
jockeying.
With the chances to win the tournament, Levon Aronian getting there as third. And it's still Fabiano first, Hikaru Nakamura second. What do we have after day 4? We see still Fabiano Caruana a little ahead of Hikaru Nakamura, but big difference compared to the third, Levon Aronian.
Levon knocks Wesley So out of the competition and improves his chances.
But now we have a chance because after yesterday, where Hikaru Nakamura defeated Fabiano Caruana and became the champion of the Open Champions Bracket, he has the highest chances to win the whole event, 60.5%.
Well, just remember that our Champions Bracket, they have an extra life, so that the player who emerges from the Elimination Bracket has to win not just 1 match, but 2 matches. to win the overall championship.
So even if Hikaru loses the next match in the classical chess, then there's going to be a match again in the rapid.
Precisely, and there you see 8-time U.S. Women's Champion Irina Krush,
Who needs to
thinking
win one match
about her
with
tournament.
black pieces.
And where did it just go wrong? And on our break, I was talking to Varusian about that game that Tatev just won, and he said Irina's crucial error was allowing G5, G4, and Irina had to play G4, and had she done that, she would have been fine. But allowing G5, G4, and she was just lost. Couldn't save. Nice attack by Tatev. All Tatev needs is a draw with the white pieces to get a rematch.
She was in a similar position against Carissa, where she won the first game, the classical game, with black pieces. Then she needed to make a draw, and she was a little passive. She lost that game, so let's see what is going to be her strategy. And here,
she's 1-1. Tatev is 1-1 when she needs to at least make a draw. In the first game against Carissa, she lost that one in classical, but then in the blitz, she won with the white pieces.
That was
so
amazing.
right now 1-1. You know, psychologically, I don't know how to handle that. Right? Like, how do you approach it? Do you go E4, go for your usual stuff? I think that's the best way. She's shown that. I think she should continue with E4 and try to play it aggressively.
Wow, Sicilian.
Sicilian.
And a Rosalima.
For the draw? Is
that for real?
Is that for real?
Takes.
Okay.
B2B3. This looks like very, very familiar territory.
yesterday, Tatev Abrahamyan played this opening against Alice Lee.
Exactly. But
with white.
Now, what Tatev did is she allowed Alice Lee to play E6, E5, and got her bishop on C1 was shut down. Castles. Knight F6. Okay, this is obscure. Knight F6. Completely different approach by Fabi. I was expecting him to kind of gummy up the center with E6, E4. Well, this looks like preparation now. Bishop B4. Why did he play Bishop B4, Kate? I mean, you're here to answer the difficult questions.
Thank you for
what can
putting me on the spot.
No question about it. Strange move.
Yeah.
Strange move.
I mean, the only blunder here would be Knight D2, allowing Bishop C3 fork.
Yeah, that would be a little bit embarrassing just to show. Knight D2, Bishop C3. Oops, why did we do that? Normally speaking, when your opponent has the two bishops, you might be tempted, I would be tempted, to play the move Bishop A3 and say, you know, I want to deprive you of the two bishops. Levon said, you know what? Bishop E3, I'm not actually sure what your bishop is doing here. By the way, does he have a trick? Could he essay the move C5? Is that completely ridiculous? Probably it is. You have Queen E7. Okay, if nothing else, I'm obstinate. Queen to C8.
Knight E2 is a very strange move by. I think none of this will happen because we already
Knight
have E2 on board. Yes.
Okay, that is an obscure move as well. Knight E2. Again,
surely
is
he wants to go
thinking
A3, right?
A3?
I think he just wants to go A3, and he's saying that at least right now with the knight on E2, you cannot go Bishop C5 back.
Also, you may just want to develop your knight from B1, just to go Knight C3.
If you wanted to play A3, why can't you play A3?
Maybe because of Bishop C5. Maybe that's what. You have this move, yes.
Oops.
Yeah,
Oops, I'm going to capture your bishop with the tempo. So
then it doesn't make any sense.
No, I think it makes sense. You want to simply develop your knight to C3. You couldn't do that before, so you go Knight E2.
D5, okay.
Okay, just a second. So you take a perfectly beautiful knight in the middle of the board and you retreat.
Well, no, I'm thinking what to do about my knight on B1. I don't want to develop it to D2 because then it's just staring at its own two pawns. I want the knight to go to C3.
So why don't you go A3 and knight C3?
I don't want to be pushing pawns.
Okay.
So I retreat my knight from the center and now I can go knight C3.
And D5 by Fabi. Now, normally when you have a big center like this, you start to think to yourself, well, shouldn't I nurse it forward, play a move like d6, play c5, put my bishop on b7, and be happy? No, Fabi says, I want to pass pawn. And he's thinking to capture with the queen. That's what he's thinking about. He's thinking about the match situation. All I need is a draw. Should I capture with the queen? I'm assuming...
I take.
Take.
Then I finally develop the knight bc3.
And I'm defending the pawn, bishop to b7.
Maybe can I go bishop a6? Is that
Bishop to a6 is a very good move.
Rook fd1.
Okay, still there's this
Rook
knight is
d8.
hanging on e2.
Rook fd8 maybe?
Yep.
There's something, a slight edge for white, but is it enough? Material
Activity.
is very limited.
Yeah.
Now I play a3. I force your bishop to go away to finally don't attack my knight on c3.
Okay, I go away.
Okay, knight d4. Yes, the knight
Yes.
is back in the center.
Yes. Okay, you do have knight e6. I was trying to angle for knight d3. Well,
One thing about Levon, he's really gaining time right now, not spending absolutely any seconds. 26 minutes, has gained a minute since the beginning of the game. Definitely knows this position, has analyzed it at home.
by the way, not for nothing, but a moment ago you played in the move knight d4 to e2 to develop the knight to c3. But the moment you could put the knight back on d4, you did it with gusto. I just say, I was paying attention. I was paying attention to how excited you were about getting your knight back into the game. a3 on the board. Not now that the pawn structure has been fixed. I think a3, b4, knight c3 makes a lot of sense. We were looking at variations where. Let me just try. Let me try to be as active as possible. I know I'm sacrificing a pawn. Yes. Queen takes d5.
What? No.
No.
I would lose a queen. No way.
Oh, those
you tried to
discoveries.
trick me here.
It almost worked. So bishop d6.
Knight bc3.
Knight b at c3. I'm going to go for a kind of a different setup than we had a moment ago. I'll put my bishop on b7. I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming of a future d4.
Knight d4.
Knight to d4. And put my bishop on a good square. Bishop to d6. No, knight e6. I have queen d6 and c3 is hanging. Yay.
Okay, so I will go rook ac1.
A useful move.
Just want
I'm a
to
pawn
finish
grabber.
Development.
Haha. I'm a pawn grabber. Look at this.
Did you trick me or did you just allow
I tricked
me?
myself.
Okay, f4, because I do want to trade as much as possible.
I'm trying to draw the game.
I mean, right, I'm trying to draw not with white pieces.
Something like that might appear. Who came out of the opening with a time advantage, Kate?
Slight advantage for Levon, 3 minutes.
It's okay. Something to keep in mind. I'm gonna go back to the ladies elimination championship. Irina Krush with the white Tatev with the white pieces. Irina Krush with the black pieces, needing to win. Now Irina has played the Taimanov, Sicilian most of her career, so none of this should be as a surprise for Tatev. But the move, I find the move b5 surprising.
Let's go e5.
And let's go e5 and let's go b4.
I think it's b4. Yes, I think that's the right idea.
Anything other than like this is a disgrace. You know, like
that looks horrible.
Like all the pieces are on the
E5
first
on the board.
rank. So e5, b4 is required. Now, if you take the knight, well, I'll take your knight. And no benefit, I would say.
So I go, yes, knight e4, with the knight to the center.
Yep.
What worries me for Tatev right now is that she spent 6 minutes off her clock while Irina is gaining time.
Of course, because this is Irina's sandbox. This is what she's been doing most of her career, this queen c7.
Knight takes e4.
Knight takes e4.
Probably followed by bishop to b7 after bishop
Makes
takes e4.
perfect sense to me. Sicilian players, they love to have their pawn on b4 because their attitude is that white has a majority on the queen side, and a pawn on b4 makes it very awkward for white to use her majority, and the c2 pawn can become backwards. So take,
aren't
bishop
you worried
e7.
about too many trades? Yes, queen f3. I want you to take my bishop so I can centralize my queen.
As they say, I'll fall for it. And here I pause, because if the tournament situation was different and all I was trying to do is equalize with the black pieces, I would be playing knight to c6. By the way, no trade of the bishops. That's a little bit crafty.
Now I capture the knight.
Okay.
So you have to lock your bishop, because if you trade my light square bishop with yours, I feel, oh, you do that. Bishop takes c6.
I thought there was some subtle twist as to why she didn't take on e4. Okay, but bishop takes c6. So
Bishop
I'm saying,
takes, I take.
okay, so if I were black, I would consider that I've more or less equalized the position, and I would be satisfied, except
you have to win.
Irina has to win. Irina has to win. So,
and if you capture here with a pawn, then as white, I just make short castle. I develop my bishop, rook on the open file.
But I do feel like
easy.
Black has a bit of an edge right now.
Black
really?
Yes, yes.
Why?
Yes. I really like that square d5. With the pawn already on b4, I'm thinking of transferring a rook on d5. So you go bishop b3, I can go castle, you go castle.
You're going to put your king on
I think I'm going to go
c8?
bishop e7 first.
Okay,
Bishop
that's what I wanted to clarify that one. That was
Castle.
like castle.
Yes, castle. Short,
Castle.
let's say.
Yes. And let's say I play for c3. Not sure. Just a second. No.
What about a4?
Bishop takes c6 is on the board.
Okay, we have caught up with the players. You know what? Sorry, I think you influenced me here. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go castles, bishop to e7. I'm going to go a3.
Oh, because your idea is if pawn captures, b3, right?
That's
You want to
right.
recapture with that bishop.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking of doing. Again, all Tatev needs is a draw to clinch victory, get herself into a rematch with Alice Lee. And, well, I know Tatev's just improved her head-to-head result, but let's take a look.
Head-to-head. Tatev Abrahamyan against Irina Krush. So far, Irina Krush is leading 14 wins, only 7 losses and 4 draws. You see, these ladies, they don't make a draw that often.
No, it's decisive. The number of decisive games is very high.
And the winning probability of this match, Irina Krush 58.2% and Tatev Abrahamyan 41.8%. And I believe this was before.
Yeah, let me bail out then.
Started.
Let me bail out then, Underwood, on that probability. I'm certain that was the before the match began. As we know, Tatev won the first game. Takes. I'm expecting Tatev to play castles, and I do like this a3. I've warmed up to a3.
You know, I can also castle because I don't worry if you're going to play bishop c5 check.
No.
If you do bishop c5, I'm just going to block with my bishop. And if you want to trade more, I'm very happy.
Exactly. And in fact, the fact that in this particular case you get to play queen c5, you're going to be very
and
happy
that queen
camper
will be
as well.
dominating the board, targeting
Exactly.
that pawn on b4.
Bishop e3.
Bishop e3
She
first.
didn't go for the
But
castles.
Tatev really needs to play faster. Irina is still blitzing out her moves, and right now she has a 10 minutes advantage.
I mean, from Irina's point of view, you mentioned that if you can establish a rook on d5,
That's the dream.
yeah,
That's
So
the dream
how
right
risky it is to consider queenside castle here?
there. She went
very, very. Don't do that. I'm using the rook on the a file because there is this. I know it might appear outlandish, but there is an idea of f4, f5. Maybe the rook is better placed on a8, on f8. So rook, oops, castles.
So I have an idea.
Please.
What if I play c4 now?
I am en passant, that is for sure.
I take.
And now I pause. Because the b file suddenly became compelling. A moment ago, there was nothing happening on the b file. Your bishop defends d2. So I'm finding the a file more attractive.
Okay, rook ab1.
Ooh, is that
What
a
I
pawn?
like here...
Are you
What do you mean?
sacrificing a pawn?
How? What am I missing?
Queen a5.
Rook takes.
c3 is hanging. Pardon me.
But your c6 pawn is hanging.
Yes, precisely.
And the more trades, the better for me.
True. Your king is marginally more exposed with the pawn on f4, but you're right. By the way, we have a positional approach by Tatev. Queen to e4.
Thinking about that f5 push.
Yes.
G6.
G6, no,
You're
F5.
not getting f5.
That's what John Fedorowicz said about Tigran Petrosian. That guy was so good. He was making defensive moves before you even realized you had an attack. Before the move f4, f5 even could enter Tatev's mind, Irina put a stop to it. G7, G6, you know, if you're just trying to draw the game as
How do you draw the game?
let's say I go rook d1.
Okay.
Oh, rook
Whoa.
c1. So that is suggesting Tatev wants to play c3.
Just a second.
Yes, she does.
If I wanted to draw the game, I would go rook to d1, you would go rook to d8. Just bear with me for a moment, and I go queen c4.
But let's put
in
the
order
other
to
rook on
play-
d8. I want to put the other rook on d8.
As you like.
Because
It
queen c4 attacks my pawn on a6. I don't like that.
Okay. Fair. I go rook, and my next turn
And now
is
I go rook
bishop-
d5.
Rook to d5.
I think this is the idea.
You get a little, is it? I don't know if this is anything at all, though.
But I don't like now, you know, the pawn structure changed.
Rook d8, perhaps.
All I'm trying to do is make a draw. I'm going to make a draw.
c5.
I've got, wait a minute, hold on.
Let's go.
I've got f6 in my pocket.
Also, pawn captures on g6 is your idea.
Shh.
You know that.
Shh.
Say bishop f8.
I'm trying to kill a wabbit. Bishop f8. Wow. Okay, none of this happened. We have rook. When I see the move rook f1 to c1, I think Tatev is angling for c3.
Should we check on the other game as well and see what's
Yeah.
happening in the open section?
I think it's a very balanced position here. Again, Irina has to win, and we are going to switch over between Levon and Fabi. Levon, trailing by a point, needs a win. And let's catch up with the players. When we left it, we did see the move a3, correct?
Correct.
And bishop b7.
Rook a2.
I like it. The rook is hoping to swing across to d file, put pressure on this pawn. Rook e8. I don't like the fact that this bishop is putting pressure on this pawn. I would have found myself drawn to b3, b4, followed by rook to d2. h3, queen d7, rook e1. Well, good move. a5, just making sure there's no b4.
So white can try, or white can play rook d2 to put more pressure on that pawn, but that a3 pawn is also hanging. That bishop is very strong, yeah.
Exactly. Rook d2, bishop takes a3
And
is a
Levon
trade.
has to win, so
Yeah,
he's not interested in just trading pawns.
exactly. Knight d4 on the board. Okay.
Maybe looking at knight c to b5.
Knight to c6. Pardon me, knight c3 to b5. I don't know. For me, this knight should be on e4 square. So I would probably find myself drawn to the move bishop e5 with the clear intention of knight d6 and knight to e4. Knights love centralized squares where they're protected.
So,
Okay.
what Fabi is dreaming right now is of simplifying the position somehow.
Yes.
Exchanging some pieces,
Yes.
making it more simple for
Yes. That's exactly what he is.
for him to exchange pieces, even at the expense of a pawn. Most likely that pawn on d5 at some point will fall. But how do you do that? Knight e5, knight c6, is that an option?
Yeah, knight e5, knight c6. That's one way to lose a pawn.
Let's try it out. Let's try it out. Rook c8.
Rook c8. Okay. Can't get more direct than that, right, Kate? Knight to
b5.
b5. Okay.
I'm assuming he wanted to tuck his bishop back to b8.
Can we then do something like queen h5 or... I don't know, I would love to get the other knight to f5 to create some...
What does the queen do?
But there's just nothing, yeah. I don't have a light square bishop, that would be very helpful.
Exactly.
So I just have to focus on that pawn on d5 and finally maybe go rook d2.
Okay. Well, Cristian just gave us a key. Trade. We're here to just take some of the pressure out of the position, deflate the position, if you will. Knight to d6, if you capture, queen takes, that's going to kind of make your tummy upset. You can't capture on...
I feel I should keep that knight on b5, but...
And if you play a4, not
do
that
want
I
to go
have
knight
bishop
e4, don't you?
a6, but I've got
probably want
knight
to go
e4.
knight e4. Yeah, yeah.
And I could harass you a little bit.
Somehow I don't like this.
I think that bishop b8, I'm starting to believe that Fabi has really, really good chances of just making a comfortable draw here. How does Levon cause problems?
This is really difficult because Fabiano's pair of bishops is just very strong.
Yeah, lurking.
It's controlling so many squares on the board.
Lurking.
It is, but Fabi's time management right now indicates that he's not fully comfortable with the position.
Bishop e8. Do you have a proposal for Levon? Because I'm just right now, unless you're willing to play queen g4, I just don't see a good...
What if I try to attack your pawn? Queen
How?
d2.
Queen David 2.
Yes.
Okay. I like it. Queen d2, attack the pawn. Makes sense. Okay. Take it.
Oh, I'll take it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And let me drop a rook in on the position.
What about to go knight e5 to go to c4 with the knight?
Also very good. I wasn't sure which
a5.
Which
At least
piece best leveraged.
I'll die with the full tummy. If you get enough compensation, I'll die with the full tummy.
Yes.
At least
like
that.
It. I like it.
Let's go knight takes d6.
Queen takes d6. We've had a position
Then
like this.
Some rook b1 ideas, perhaps. Oh,
Careful,
wait a minute.
careful.
Wait,
I've
you
got
have bishop
alert.
f4.
Wait a minute.
Bishop f4. Very
Is that
strong
legal?
move.
Ooh, that's nice.
There's
is a nice
checkmate on the
Tactics
background.
alert.
You know,
Take that bishop.
yes.
Have your full tummy.
Yeah, yes. Oh my goodness.
Can we keep going after this bishop f4?
I made a
Queen takes f4.
what?
Let's keep going for a second. Queen takes f4. Let's not give up yet.
Okay, rook takes e8.
Queen f7.
And now wait for it, rook f8. Check.
Oh, whoa!
Wait
Take
for
that.
it.
You're not being nice.
My partner.
That's okay. That's okay. Let's keep going. Let's
Oh,
keep going.
no.
Let's keep going. King takes f8. Anyway, none of this is going to
Yeah.
You know what? Let's move
Let's show Cristian.
Well, it's not over even after that.
I know he's not over because
not over.
you still got rook.
I have rook c1 at the end, but I
know.
think you're fine with the a pawn. You're
Yeah.
definitely fine with the a pawn.
Okay, Levon said, you know what? I see that knight d6 is coming. Let me secure. Okay, wait a minute. He didn't go back to b8. He went back to f8. So Fabi is thinking that the bishop has a good life on this diagonal. A4, A4. So we could actually...
So now the bishop is very happy that it stayed on that diagonal.
True that. Bishop b4, I'm assuming bishop d2. So let's get rid of that knight. Bishop a6. Bishop d2.
Let's trade. Rook takes rook.
Rook takes. Pause. I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to recapture, but imagine I recapture with the bishop just for a moment.
Then bishop b4.
Bishop b4. Okay. For what it's worth, I don't know what it is worth. For what White has achieved some success.
True.
By making a protected pass pawn. I'm not saying it's anything really frightening, but the knight on d4 makes a good impression.
And that pawn on b4 can be captured at some moment. Okay.
Okay. So now we know.
For what it's worth,
yes.
You can see the bar moving in White's direction quite heavily after the last few moves.
Where's the bar?
Bottom left.
Oh.
It's flashing just for you. Yasser.
I want to see a smiley face too. I mean,
and an arrow.
Yeah. Over here, yeah. Bishop to d2. So, okay. White's happy. Bishop to d2.
Look, at least White knows exactly what he wants to do, and that's target that pawn on a5.
Yeah, he has to play for some.
Somehow it's starting to feel a bit uncomfortable for Black.
A little bit.
Meanwhile, in the elder game between Tatev, Abrahamyan, and Irina Krush, only 2 moves were played because Irina thought for about 8 minutes after Tatev's rook c1 move, then played a5.
Yep.
Tatev pushed the pawn c3.
Yep.
And rook c8, and here we are.
Okay. Again, from Tatev's point of view,
can we take and bishop c5?
Yes.
Right?
Anything that reduces.
But we have to be careful about allowing Black to pin our rook.
That's right. So let's show our audience what we're both
interested in
and concerned to do. Yes. So we love posting the bishop on c5 so that on a good day we would follow it up with the brilliant queen c4, rook c1, and we're in pole position. But at the same time, we started to get a little bit concerned that we've walked into a pin, essentially.
So rook c1.
Right.
Rook a8.
a8 or d8.
I thought a8, so you attack that pawn.
I have a trick.
Okay.
My trick is I want to capture on c5 and then give you a check.
Okay, so I have to play h3.
h3. So I capture, and give you a check.
Check. I'm not going to take that rook. I'm going to play king h2.
This seems very close.
That looks like
to equality.
A cold draw. And just to remind everybody what we are watching.
Yes, there are no games today in the Champions bracket because Alice Lee and Hikaru Nakamura are having a rest day. But in the elimination bracket, we have 2 rapid games. The one already finished. The players are now playing the second rapid game. And if Levon or Irina Krush manage to win their games to bounce back in the match, then we will see Blitz playoffs.
Absolutely, and we are keeping a close eye on both of these. We think that Levon is managing to pull ahead ever so slightly.
Now, when we look at the clock, it's now Levon who has big time advantage, 9 minutes.
That's a 2-to-1 advantage right there and an extra pawn, and that's a juicy pawn right there. Look at those connected passers.
A juicy pawn indeed.
A and B file.
I wasn't a big fan of bishop to f8, but when it came on the board, I didn't think it was that bad. Something has gone wrong. something has definitely gone wrong for Fabi, as he's a pawn down. Clock times are also favorable for Levon, and the one thing I'd be reluctant to allow is bishops of opposite color. So I would find myself drawn to the move knight to f3, so that on a good day I would squeeze the rook over to d2. Ooh, bishop f4. I noticed it for the first time now. No, I have bishop d2. What am I saying? I scared myself. I saw the move bishop f4, but I do have bishop d2, and I'm happy.
And now we don't mind trading pieces because we have extra pawn, and we will have pressure on that d file.
We would love to. Knight f3. What do you think Fabi has in mind? It's not that I'm intending to take the knight. Actually, what I really want to do is just retreat my bishop and advance my pawns over there. Maybe even bishop b6,
so
a5.
If I go bishop f4 now?
Bishop f4, bishop to d2.
Right.
So just
seeing up to this point. Then I was thinking about queen f5 and trying to stay on the case of that rook to c1 if I can. But you just simply take on f4 and rook to d2, and
I've got a dream.
Seem like it's
got
enough.
A dream position. I've got an extra pawn, but on top of it, I've got two connected pass pawns, and got a target. Slowly, maybe g3, maybe.
Okay, I have one more idea.
Please.
Going from the start after this knight f3 move. Let's just push the pawn.
Good move. Good move. d4. Well, push him, baby. Bishop e1.
Ask and you shall receive. Push the pawn.
Push. Bishop c4.
Either that or queen d5, but let's say.
I think in.
Sure, bishop c4, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Bishop b2.
Bishop b2. I noticed it too late. Take.
But doesn't it feel like you should be having enough compensation now with that pawn on d3?
Well, yeah, but
not for full equality by any means, but at
right.
least I have something to play for.
Maybe for
Agreed.
that reason, Levon decided to play rook d2. To immediately
Keep that pawn on d5. Yes, no, that makes sense.
So if you move your bishop, I will move my rook, but that knight is blocking that d5 pawn from coming closer to the promotion square.
But at the same time, allowing bishops of opposite color, bishop takes d4, rook takes d4. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely liking white. Have I given my opponent chances? That I'm not sure about.
2-to-1 time advantage, a position with an extra pawn and two connected passed pawns. Levon is looking good. He's looking to equalize the score in this second game.
Should he equalize the score, we will be having a blitz playoff, a pair of blitz games. If those games are drawn, another pair of blitz games, and then finally an Armageddon.
And these guys already had blitz playoffs.
Yes.
Very eventful, actually 2 sets of blitz playoffs.
Exactly, and there was, it could have easily gone Levon's way. As it turned out, Fabi got to the finals where he lost to Hikaru. Levon Aronian, our defending champion, needs a win to continue the match and continue his tournament. He's just played rook d2. Kate, you're with me on this one. You've got the two bishops, but you know you've got a nasty chore ahead of you holding the position.
I really don't want to capture the knight.
Don't?
No, because I think that dark square bishop is extremely strong.
Right.
So I wonder if I can play something like g6, king g7, just to improve the position before I make anything too committal. Bishop f4.
Okay,
That's
again,
Caruana's choice.
Again, there's a rook c1 alert, so we do have to play rook c2, not to allow rook c1. Yeah, it's just a strange thing because I've played so many bishops of opposite color, and I just know that it's so hard at times to make your breakthroughs when there are bishops of opposite colors on the board. That did not happen. Fabi said, I'm not ready to make your life so easy. Bishop f4, rook c2, bishop e5 on the board.
How do we continue right now?
I'm taking.
You're taking on.
I'm taking.
Okay,
You're
queen
taking.
takes.
I'm playing bishop b6. Just kind of, I believe in protecting the pieces. Protecting the pieces. a5.
You're not going to fool anybody. You're trying to push your pawns. You're trying to go b4, b5.
And
a5.
would you believe I'm trying to push my pawns?
You're trying to push those pawns.
Yes, I am.
So
Levon's enjoying his
I
cup
go
of tea.
queen c3. I have an idea. Queen c3.
Okay.
You push the pawn.
Okay.
Bishop d3.
Okay. And at a certain point, you're kind of forcing me away. I do have queen takes d5, just an alert.
So I move my bishop to f4.
Bishop to f4 now. Cristian was saying, I'm not fooling anybody, I'm trying to push my pawns.
This is just, and you are right, if I capture the pawn now with my bishop, you will capture on d5.
That must be a mate.
Ouch.
Rook takes c8 is on the board. Queen takes c8, as we predicted.
Right. And I tried bishop b6. Definitely not the only move. I was just a little, I would love to play b4. No, seriously, I would love to play b4, b5. I was a little bit concerned that if I played b4, the queen could come to c4.
Or queen
attacking,
c3.
or even queen c3. I saw some line where I was not happy. My bishop's a little bit off sides. d4, I've allowed too much counterplay. And that was why I played bishop b6, just to hold the knight on d4 square.
Levon has to be happy with his position, though,
Of course.
right? He has time advantage, 6 minutes, time advantage, and extra pawn on the board.
Well, after bishop b6, to my way of thinking, it's a 2-result game. I mean, still a lot of work ahead for Levon to tie the match. Knight f3. Okay, Levon is saying, give me the pawn. That's a check. d4. Didn't we see something like this?
Yes, but there were some rooks on the board as well.
So if I take the pawn?
This is a much better version for Levon.
Is it? If I take the pawn?
Queen c5.
Thank you. I was knight to d4, knight to b5. That's a kind of an awkward check, isn't it?
Okay, I'll take on b5.
Take munch munch.
Take on b5.
I'm a pawn up.
You have one. Yes, yes, but you had two.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Fair. Bishop b6, d3. That's not play on one goal anymore. I mean,
So now we have queen c2.
Exactly.
This is dangerous.
Exactly. That was why I thought he should.
Unless though.
Unless
Bishop e6.
Okay. C2.
d3.
Yes.
Knight takes e5.
Yes.
And something now.
Yeah, like the magician trick. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Just missing the rabbit now.
Where's the rabbit?
And here?
Yeah, here we go. I guess
no,
Bishop. No. I mean, first of all, these guys are blockaded. Let's make it clear. They're fixed. And you do have b4, b5 on
but even if
on your mind. Sorry.
If black goes queen c2.
Okay. Is this what you wanted, though? I don't know. Maybe it is.
I mean, this, I think, should be a draw, right? Bishop c4.
Should be a draw.
I go king f7.
Yeah, these bishops of opposite colors, I tell you. I mean, sometimes you're thinking to yourself, you could be 2 pawns down, and you've got a good
Bishop
blockade.
b6.
All right, let's see the current position. Well, they're going for it, Kate. D3.
I don't know. Now I think this D3 idea might be looking good for Fabi.
Yeah, D3, Queen C2.
All right, let's see. D3, you take on E5, and then you go this bishop to E3 idea, right?
Right.
Let's go for it.
But you know what?
I'm still not convinced this is so easy for black. So I take on C2, I go F3.
Take on C2. Take on C2, you go F3.
Sure.
Talk.
That's all I want. Yes. Just trying to get my king
Okay,
back.
king F7. King E6. King D5.
Yeah,
And bishop F1.
that's fine. You want to...
At the moment, you can't
You want to keep
approve.
it
You've achieved your maximum. I do want to play king to D2, but you're right. Bishop F1. I don't want to lose my whole king side.
Okay, can I go? I'm going to lose that pawn.
Please.
So C1, capture it.
Wow. Okay. Bishop.
And king D4.
You didn't.
Oh no, there's bishop B2.
You didn't appreciate my sense of humor. I under-promoted to a
no.
bishop. You didn't even notice.
I
just checked it
apologize.
with the engine. This endgame is actually a draw.
This one.
Not with C1.
Yeah, no, because that's bishop B2.
I think C1 is a bit too much, but just G6.
G6?
Yes. It doesn't seem like you have a clear way to make progress.
Bishop F1.
F1.
And D3,
D3 is on the board. We might be speeding towards this endgame.
Wow. They're following our analysis. How
However,
far they're going to follow our analysis?
a big difference.
Okay, what's the big difference?
You go bishop E3.
Bishop E3, yes. Queen
Now,
to C2.
Queen C2 is a very alluring move, but Queen H5 wins on the spot.
Ooh, this is a back rank mate we've seen before.
Easy one to miss.
Wait, how does it?
We're threatening mate in 1.
Right, but I can just go and defend it, no?
How?
You can, but I'm picking up another
You're
pawn.
picking up another pawn.
I'm picking up another pawn, yes. That's somewhat of an issue.
That is nasty. And like you say, alluring, which means I can't play Queen C2. Apologies.
No, but you might as well try to go for Queen C6, right? Let's try to create that battery along the long diagonal. Keep everything tight. Do not allow any sort of Queen E8 checks. Keep it simple.
Well,
and if you go F3, then I go Queen C2.
Sure.
Right? Because
yes.
I blocked your queen from, or you blocked your queen.
Yes.
But how? Aren't I going B4, B5, B6, B7, Queen?
But isn't this helping me?
No, but
Because
B4,
then,
now I can go Queen C2, right? Oh, Queen C2, you just go.
no, I
only
can
take
go
C2.
bishop C4.
Okay.
Because even if you go, I will be always blocking these pawns, how they are disconnected.
Yeah, but they're deep. They're on the 6th rank.
Queen D5.
Queen D5.
And once you push your pawn to B6, I'm going to reroute my bishop to B7.
I've got ideas.
You're not afraid of D2?
I was going to take it and go Queen C8 check.
Yeah, that's
That was my intention.
That is winning.
I mean, it's funny. We're playing on parallel universes. You've got the light squares. I've got the dark squares.
That's
well,
the nature of opposite color bishops.
Queen C6 is on the board.
B4.
B4 is on the board.
Bishop B7.
Bishop B7. And now a pause because Queen G4, Queen takes A4. There's a Queen E6 check sighting. Ooh. That's scary, isn't it? So, for example, Queen G4. How about
Queen G4 on the board.
How about this one? Give me checkmate.
No, this is Queen A1 check.
Yep.
E4.
Defending G7. This should be one of those Puzzle Rush championship puzzles, right? Something like this.
This looks enough.
This again, Levon Aronian needs a win to force a blitz playoff. Queen g4 on the board. Would you take that pawn on a4?
No.
Tick, 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 tick,
Nope.
tick, tick, tick.
Maybe queen d6.
Queen to d6.
So I'm still trying to help my pawn to go towards promotion.
Mm-hmm. Well, queen d6 I have, pardon me, queen d6 and d2. I still have queen d1. So queen d6, b5, right? I'm eyeballing a5. d2, you're one square away from queening. And
And if I go queen g6 here, no, we are just gonna pick up that pawn.
f3 and queen takes. Looking good for Levon. The clock times?
The clock
Kim?
times
12
are not
minutes,
great.
Levon, 5 minutes for Fabiano.
For Fabiano. Fabiano really dropping below on the clock.
Levon-
With a worse position, this is going to be a tough defense.
And I see Levon's getting a little bit nervous. He's getting up from the board because he feels like he's in a position that he can equalize the match.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Tatev
Meanwhile,
Abrahamyan
that's-
is trading rooks, wanting to put the other rook to the d file.
Much like Levon, Irina needs victory. Only a victory keeps her in the match. And that was very clever of Tatev. She put her pawn on c4.
Very clever.
Prohibiting
Cristian-
that rook
yes.
to go to d5.
Yes, exactly. And Irina, okay, I understand you have to make a break. f6 or g5? I'm not sure. Irina chose f6. Change.
Now we would love to be in time to play king e2 and the other rook to d1. Once we manage that, white is totally equal.
Exactly. So, but king e2 in the center of the board, are you eager to make that decision?
I mean, if I capture on f6 as white, I'm activating your bishop, right?
Correct.
Why like that?
You're making it very awkward for yourself to play rook to d1. Still some questions for Tatev to answer. I mean, Irina...
Can I play queen e4 here? No, king e2. Tatev chose king e2, trying to protect that d1 square for the rook.
Okay, so at least from Irina's point of view, she's trying to create a weakness. Takes, correct? Okay, now we need to make a sudden switch. We need to put a lot of pressure, as much maximum pressure on the e5 pawn.
Queen e4. I have this very beautiful square in the center for my queen.
I don't disagree. One.
Rook d1.
Rook d1. Okay, so we're here. You can't play bishop to d4. Well, maybe you can. No, I've got c5. Sorry.
And there's queen a8. But let's go bishop
to
f4.
f4.
This looks good for white.
Yeah.
I'm
good
just going to
enough.
make king c1.
I'm not losing this. No way I'm losing this.
Yeah.
If anything, I think white is better in this
Check.
position.
Yeah, I was trying to put as much pressure as I could, and
If Tatev manages to hold this position, then she
She's-
wins the match, and she's the one who is going to be again challenging Alice Lee for the championship.
I think that this was a clever move by Irina. So her idea is if you play queen e4, then in that case, maybe I can play f5, and if your queen goes back to f3, I got queen d7 to stop rook d1.
But I'll take it. I'll take that loss of tempo. I'll go queen e4, you go f5, I go back to c2.
And now I want to go again, rook
Rook
d1.
d1, that's my only plan. I just want to make a draw. I just want to exchange everything.
You push g5, I go
G3.
g3, but maybe even rook d1.
Yep,
Do I care? You want to capture on f4?
yep.
Probably
It's
g3.
true. It's true.
Given the match situation, I'll go g3. Rook d1 might be fine, but I just want to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Queen e4, I think that's what she's going for. Shall we go back to the other one?
Yes, and well, let's see how he did capture. Oh no, pardon me. After the move queen g4, Fabi played h5.
Saying, capture my pawn so I
Please.
can checkmate you.
The old checkmate in one routine. Queen takes a4, check, check. Well, that was nice.
White is still extra pawn.
How is this one, though? I'm going to be extra 2 pawns.
Well, I have queen d1 check.
Yeah, queen takes b4. Queen takes h5. No, he's going for those.
Queen takes
pawns.
e5.
Isn't this just winning?
Yeah, yeah.
This must be just winning, right?
I just can't imagine.
If this is not winning, chess,
yeah.
Chess is not fair.
Chess is very cruel.
Truly not fair. This is not winning.
I remember John Nunn showing these table base of queen and 2 pawns, protected pass pawns, queen and 2 pass pawns versus king and queen. It was a draw.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. That was my feeling exactly. And
Queen takes e4 is
Queen
a draw.
e4.
Queen takes e4 is a draw.
Exactly. No, I'm not playing queen takes e4.
So if you exchange the queens, it's a draw.
I'm going to go check and queen back to g3 or queen to g5.
Queen d5, really trying to trade those queens.
Exactly. Queen.
But Levon needs that queen so he can attack together with his dark square bishop, the king.
Yes, and he's
while
just
pushing the pawns on the king side.
He's just tucked his queen away. His next moves are going to be something like f3, bishop f4, bishop
h4.
e3, h4, bishop to e5, and the 2 extra pawns should carry the day. f2, f3, we do expect that Levon should win this game.
But
F3
how easy
on the
is
board.
it? How easy is it? Bishop d5.
Well,
you're
asking me how easy is it to win? How difficult it is to hold?
I'm just
to do nothing.
Bishop d4. That's all I do. Exactly.
You put also the bishop on e5 maybe, so you can improve your queen to g5, and then you start pushing the pawn.
That's
h4.
fine. No problem.
Queen to g5.
Bishop e5.
to
You have
e5.
no checks,
Bishop
and I'm pushing
d5.
the pawns.
g4.
Well,
Let's
I
go.
like h5, h6.
I'm with you.
He's going to go for that. Queen
Queen
e5.
e5.
Okay, he's setting up that battery like that.
h4, h5, h6. That has Kate's seal of approval.
Pushing the pawns like that, right?
Yep. Yeah, I like this. This
h4 on the board.
is
Yeah, he's going for it.
poor Fabi. He's in all he needs is a draw. He's got bishops of opposite color, but he's sliding away. We came into the studio thinking, this could be the shortest day. Something tells me these 2 players, they're fighters.
But it looks like Tatev may be able to win her match. Irina Krush doesn't know what to do with her position, and she's down to last 3 minutes. She now has to decide, are you pushing f5, closing the position, or capturing the pawns in the center? But it's still very difficult for black to find any counterplay.
That one seems very equal for the moment.
Exactly.
If anything happens, we'll move on to that, but I think we should stay
h4. Queen to
decisive
f7.
one.
Okay, so
Did you go h5 now?
I do.
No, let's go queen g5.
Queen g5.
Queen to g5.
I just like the queen there, and then h5, h6.
Yasser is a bit of an impatient man. He wants to go h5. He wants to go g4.
Okay, so let's have
H6.
queen g5. Let's go king h7.
h5.
Let's wait.
Okay, king h7. Now do you go g4?
Let's wait.
Okay, queen g5 on the board.
It is.
Yes.
Well, h5, king h7, queen g5. Yes.
Okay, well, somehow they've kind of reached their
They've
same
transposed.
position.
Yes.
Position. Yeah, and I was just waiting.
Okay, but big question right now. g6. Bishop a2.
g6.
Why not?
g6. Wow, just a second. Hold on. You would open the diagonal?
Why not? I'm trying to force matters.
Queen?
Where's the mate? I'll take on h5.
No checkmate. Sorry.
Where's the mate?
Sorry, no checkmate. That's...
No, we go h6.
What?
H6.
h6? Why not?
Oh, come on. Just a second.
No, I want to go with your checkmate after.
She wants to checkmate us.
Checkmate.
Okay.
Wow.
None
None
of
of
this
this
is
happened.
happening.
Sorry. Apologies. We're just get the current position.
So Levon improved his king, pushed the g pawn as well.
That was what I was thinking he was going to do, was play g4. And
Okay, now we are forced to put that bishop on e5.
which is a square we always wanted to go.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it at all.
Yeah.
I
It
was
like-
surprised Levon didn't go there earlier, but
Yeah.
now, unless he wants to play king h3.
I think bishop e5, what Fabi wants to do is queen a7. He's trying to start attacking from the back. Perhaps not a bad idea.
Big pause in studio here as we're
Not a bad idea. Maybe
Not
bishop e5 is not that easy.
Well, if I
Keep
go
the-
h6 now,
check,
What?
king h3,
No.
check.
and king
I
h4.
think that's how you make a
Check.
draw. Queen h1.
Oh, you never go to f2.
Perpetual.
Right.
Perpetual. Yeah.
That's the perpetual check.
Okay, then
Okay,
maybe,
so
maybe king h3.
something
Or
something-
F4.
or F4. Something to be said for. Well, F4 feels a little loose. I wanted to do it much more slowly, be more patient when advancing on the king side.
Eight minutes for Levon, 4 minutes for Fabiano.
Still, it feels like a thankless task, right? Bishop e5, queen a7, king g2. Players of king to g2, just protecting the g1 square, right? King to g2.
And then check on a2.
Check on a2, king to h3. When you go back to a7 to defend the threat of checkmate, at least you're not threatening a perpetual. Queen c1.
Queen c1, guarding that g1 square and attacking the bishop.
Okay, bishop to d3. Queen to b6. Queen to b7. This is tough. You're 2 pawns down. You're just hoping that your opponent plays it a little bit too quickly and you get some kind of counter strikes. Bishop d3. These guys
So what
never
about-
resign, right?
Can we play g5? Is that
Legal?
something
Yep.
we
It's
may
legal.
want to do? Maybe
Yeah,
g6?
absolutely. Yeah, g5, g6, I think. Queen to e1.
Just kind of a careful.
I see a bar going down.
That was like a missed opportunity.
You see how it goes down, right? I mean, that's scary. g5 seems to have been winning. Winning on the spot, in fact.
Which makes a lot of sense, right?
Because I just want to go to g6. You
Yep,
have to give
yep.
up the bishop, otherwise you're going to be checkmated on the back rank.
Yep.
Exactly.
g5 was very strong.
Queen e1, missed opportunity.
And in the women's champion, actually women's elimination bracket, Irina Krush is down to her last minute.
Who was down to their last minute?
Irina Krush, and she needs to win this game.
Yes.
Otherwise, this is also the last game of the event for her.
Again, that move g5, that sure looks very good. I'm going to switch
Because it's
over
not
to
1
the
minute,
ladies.
it's 30 seconds. Queen e8, trying to get some counter
She's
chances,
fishing.
you know. Queen h5,
She's fishing for a trick.
but king f1, guarding that h5 square, so the black queen cannot go there.
Makes sense. Ooh, big decision there.
c5, so nothing is
C4.
ever going to happen on the queen side. I
Yeah,
can go
that-
b3, and that's
That-
done.
c5, I have to say, strategically is very good news for Tatev.
Absolutely.
Because you go
that
b3
locks up
right
the
now
game.
if you really want to close things up with
Yeah.
that pawn on c5 on dark squares. That bishop pawn e7 is always going to be tight defense. of that pawn on c5.
Agreed.
This one is looking great for Tatev right now.
Agreed. She just has to keep her nerves. Ooh, kind of.
Not sure about that, but
it's okay.
But
it
queen
still
h5,
is very much okay.
you have to be worried about queen d7
That's
because
right.
I can go after your bishop and the pawn on e6.
Oh, queen d7 looks good.
Wow. As Irina Krush goes under 20 seconds, Irina needs to win this game with the black pieces to equalize the match and force a blitz playoff.
5 seconds.
And she just captured on f4, played the move h5. Okay, how does she get in? That's the problem. Tatev is keeping all of the squares nicely controlled.
I
What
like
about bishop
b3
g5?
for white
Bishop
or
g5?
bishop g5.
Why not?
I like
Let's
that.
exchange the bishops.
The
Or
more trades.
Make your bishop more passive. Go to f8 where the bishop has just
Then maybe I
no
go bishop
activity.
f6.
Yes.
It's looking good
Bishop
right now,
g5
guys.
looks like that is going to help to clinch a draw for Tatev. I like that move a lot.
We might be seeing the second grand finalist of the ladies section after Alice Lee punched her tickets yesterday by defeating Tatev. Tatev right now, she might defeat Irina Krush, eliminate her from the tournament,
Right.
and go to meet once again Alice in the finals.
She's done it.
Yep.
Bishop.
Bishop g5.
Bishop to f8, king
Irina is
very,
saying,
very,
"I
very
cannot
quickly. King
trade bishop."
h7, bishop f6, king h7. I don't see exactly how you're forcing further inroads. But okay, she's done it. King h7.
Clearing that g5 square
just
for the queen.
Okay, but with the move king h7, Irina is thinking bishop h6, right?
But I want Tatev to play b3, get that pawn away from the dark square, and then I can go queen d8. Trade the queens or threaten checkmate on
Makes
h8.
sense. Queen d8 immediately. She heard you.
But I wanted to start with b3.
I understand. She didn't.
But maybe this is enough, because if we trade the queens, I'm targeting that pawn on a5.
I don't see how queen f7, queen takes a5 is not a lot of fun. So she has traded. Pawn was hanging,
Time to play b3.
trying to play b3. I would play a3.
But this is it. I mean, king e3, king e2, king e3. Anytime you go to that diagonal, I can go either bishop c7 or bishop e7.
Tatev on the verge of eliminating Irina here. King g6, f4,
That's
king f5.
the last way of trying
Last
to
hope?
get something.
The last hope for Irina.
But I have a feeling.
How does it go? f4? How does it go?
But therefore I just go king e2 now.
She's played f4.
That's fine, king e2.
King e2, king g6.
That's fine, king f3.
King f5.
Bishop f6.
Bishop
You
f6.
have no moves anymore. Such a sad position.
Such a sad position.
I just go bishop h8.
Bishop g5.
Bishop g5. Okay.
Okay, whoa. Does that give Irina still a chance? King g6, bishop f4, king f5. No.
I don't think it does.
I don't get to d3 with my king. I was trying to move my king like a bishop to d3, but bishop takes, king f5,
And g3?
Yes. Why not?
g3,
Absolutely no reason to give away that extra pawn.
king e4.
King e2.
King e2. When you go bishop g7, I go bishop b3.
Yes, you do.
And then you have to go back to f8.
Yes,
And then I go back to f4.
And that's the draw.
And that's it.
That Tatev needs. She played a wonderful control game, did Tatev. She needed a draw.
It was really important that in the first game with black pieces, kings in defense, and she managed to win. And now she has that advantage with white pieces. She only needs a draw. She doesn't need to push for more.
Exactly. Irina knows it. Well, this will be the first time in American Cup history that we don't have an Alice Lee Irina Krush finals, and instead Tatev spoiled the party.
Now Tatev played bishop g3, but that is enough as well.
Is it?
Yes, that is enough, because now we still go with the king e2.
Well, we've got h4 and king takes e5 on. That isn't as convincing. Well, wait a minute. Is it convincing? Well, you got to play h4 regardless.
Yes, you have to go h4.
Bishop has to drop back.
That's okay.
But then I'm going to play h3 and g3.
Make sure that you... Do you maybe
King
include
F3. Yeah, king
perhaps
f3 I like
king
first.
f3 as well,
I don't allow your king to get closer. The black king
like king
cannot get
F3.
closer to the white
I
pawns.
like king f3, king f3, king f5, and now I go g4, chat.
10 seconds on the clock for Abrahamyan.
Just make simple moves. It's
Yeah.
what she should be doing right now.
King f5,
G4.
g4 check.
Absolutely.
And that will secure the draw because white...
I think I'm winning.
Probably.
I think I'm winning. With the outside pass pawn like that.
Whoa, what?
What?
She's giving one last trick.
That's a good one.
Take
That's a
the
good
pawn.
one. Take
King
my pawn
to
so I can go to
D4.
d4. Yes.
King c3.
She might be going for it.
No, g3. I liked your h3, g3 idea just to ensure. Yeah, look at Irina.
G4 now.
She knows she's got to trick her opponent. She doesn't know how she's going to trick her opponent. She's playing for the tricks, and
Bishop
that
E7.
meant keeping the pawn
Bishop
on the
E3.
board.
All she needs to do is just shuffle the bishop like that. You don't need to win this one.
No, you
Tatev,
don't.
you don't need to win this one. Just go bishop f2, bishop e3. That's it.
Exactly. Just keep that king out of the d4 square.
Let Irina find a way. And that's exactly what she does.
Okay. By the way,
Wow.
we do have breaking news. We are going to have a blitz playoff.
Levon Aronian won his game and forced playoff.
King
f6. Now, you could centralize the king, or you could go bishop
Check.
e3.
I like check.
Check
and
is nice as
king
well.
e4.
just to keep. Well, then there is bishop d6. Pawn on h2. King g3.
Okay, so some tricks.
Still tricks.
That's
Even
why I
in-
didn't like to let black have the pawn on
And
h file. King g3.
and the clock is a factor again.
It is 10 seconds for Irina Krush.
King e5.
King e5, king f3. That's the
I
third
know.
time repetition.
Is it?
Third time repetition. Yes.
Did she know it?
Probably she did, but to be honest, it's not like black has a great way to change matters at
Bishop
this point.
e7. Bishop. What's bishop? Oh no, c5 is
C5
hanging.
is hanging.
Apologies.
If she goes bishop f8, I think right now Tatev
She can
should
claim?
just say, you know what, this is it.
King f6. She's
King f6, king e4. Jump in
Irina.
the center right now.
well. Hold on. King e4. Bishop d6. Bishop f4.
Yes.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
But look, that's something that she's definitely looking at.
Ooh,
But also just bishop f2, right?
keeping your nerves. Yeah, that's so hard in these moments when you're just playing on your increment.
King g3.
King g3.
She's
Bishop
going
check.
for that pawn.
So what Irina is saying,
Now it's time
you
to take
take
that
the pawn. I'll go king e5, and looky, careful.
g5.
Let's go g5 because after king e4 I have g6.
That's right. That's exactly what she needs to do. And she goes for it.
She's done it. g5. I think I have to play bishop f8.
But I'm going to go g6 and then I'm going to
King e4, g6.
g6 and then let's capture bishop takes c5.
She's
That's
got
right.
it.
I think this
She's
is
it.
got it.
I think this is it. There's no coming back from this one.
That's it.
Bishop takes c5, bishop takes b4, and you can see the relaxation on top.
Yeah.
Drop
She-
back, lean back. in
she
the chair.
realized-
She knows it.
She's crossed the finish line.
She knows it
G6.
right now.
Bishop takes c5. Munch. And that's
You cannot
all
take
she
that
wrote.
bishop because there is g7.
And
Take on b4 as well.
yeah. Greed is good.
Yes.
Three extra pawns in this
By
game.
the way, king g4 may have been more exacting, but yes, it's good enough.
Yeah, and Irina knows it as well. You could see the slight grimace on her face.
Ouch.
It's over.
Yep.
Because that c pawn is running as well. If the king goes after that b3 pawn to capture it, Tatev can simply go c5, c6.
At this point, you want the rapid rating points, you know? Just win this game. Why not? Those rating points are
And
not easy to
c5,
get.
no one is stopping that pawn.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Not at all.
I think we're going to see a resignation right now.
Good call.
Congratulations to Tatev Abrahamyan, who is
Absolutely.
the winner of the elimination bracket, the finalist who's going to challenge Alice Lee tomorrow in classical chess.
Just catching up on how Levon managed to win his game. It was with that whole G5 sequence, by the way. He did end up playing G5, followed by G6, and winning a piece, essentially.
Because that's the thing, we can give back the piece, have extra pawn, and this is a winning pawn endgame.
Let's just, through the magic of television, relive that moment when Levon Aronian did win Bishop G6.
Fork on the king and the queen.
I think Levon had worked it all out that he was about to play King H4 and sacrifice on G7 to force a winning king and pawn ending.
That's step one.
And this is step two.
And that's the final step right there.
Yeah, there was a appreciation. I got that. I knew that was coming.
Wow, winning on demand.
Amazing. It does. Let's have a look at the results.
So in the open section elimination bracket, Fabiano Caruana won the first game with white pieces, but then lost the second one, which means we're gonna see a playoff here. In the women's section, Irina Krush lost the first game with white pieces, and in the second game, Tatev Abrahamyan with white pieces won the game.
And the matchups coming up tomorrow. Oh, pardon me.
Today.
Today. Sorry. This is still the Blitz.
And when we see the rapid matchup score, 23 wins for Fabiano, 22 losses, and 25 draws. Very, very balanced match.
Yes, very balanced. 23, 22, 25. Ooh. We'll be back for the Blitz playoffs. You won't want to go anywhere. We'll take a break.
Sounds good.
I think we'll catch our breath. Winning on demand, Cristian.
When it comes to competing against such a skilled field, such as this one at the American Cup, how do you balance the aggression and risk-taking elements?
I don't know. I still looking how to recently my game became more dry. I guess I'm not taking much risk, which is wrong, and I'm working and trying to change it. And I'm not playing as aggressive as I used to play as a child, and yes, it depends on situation, right? In first game, I'm playing with white, so it doesn't probably make sense to play very aggressively, to take really high risk, because if you're losing first game with white, it will be very difficult to come back next day with black pieces to beat. So I guess in the first game, I will not play any risky variation.
It's a tough question. I'm still working on it. I've always been an aggressive player, and when I take risks, I don't even consider not taking them. But as I've aged and matured, let's say, now I do consider, especially if it's a match and if it's a first game, I know that there's a second game, and if I'm not really sure, maybe I'll not take that risk. I don't know if that's a good decision, but that's how I've been doing it.
I think generally I am a pretty aggressive player, and that might not pan out so well for me again in this elimination format. So we'll kind of have to see, but I'm mostly more preoccupied with trying to keep it safe, be more okay with draws than I would normally be if, that's what the situation demands of me.
Yeah, well, first you have to kind of see what color you're going to be, how you're going to start the match. In the first game, yeah, depending on the color you are, you're probably not going to go crazy, if you're black, right? So it's actually, so what is unique about this match-to-match thing is that you have to adjust your strategy all the time, right? It's not like a round-robin tournament, so you actually have to be very flexible. You might have to play tie-break games, you know, and you might be ahead or behind in the match. So yeah, you have to be kind of flexible during the event.
Obviously, it requires a lot of preparation, and I've been doing my best to prepare for this tournament. Thankfully, I know the competitors already from all the previous years of playing at the top level here in the United States, and it's always a tough battle, but it's something that I really look forward to, and trying to find a balance between the nerves of playing in such a strong field and being ready to prove myself.
Well, I think when it comes to risk-taking, it really depends on the situation. If you are in a must-win situation, then obviously you have to take more risks. But if you're playing the first game, then it's kind of unnecessary to go all in. It also depends on the opponent. If you know your opponent will take the bait or go maybe the safe way, that also changes your approach.
I typically don't mind going into tie breaks because I think in rapid format I usually do quite well. So for me, it's mostly just making sure that I don't give my opponents any chances to get an advantage in the match. Of course, that's easier said than done, but I think usually it depends on how the first game goes, and then I strategize what I want the result to be based on that.
Yeah, actually that's a very good question, because I remember the first edition that I played, I lost my very first game, and it was really hard to get back to the field, because I remember there was no second time control, and I got into time trouble, you know, very quickly, and I just messed up an equal position. I would say it's really risky, that you want to make sure that you basically use your chances at the right moment, but you don't want to play risky that much, because it's just 2 games, and if you lose 1 game, it's really hard to, you know, come back for the second game. But in another hand, it's good that we have double elimination, so you get 1 more chance. But still, I think you need to be careful. Also, there is no, you know, draw agreement or something like that. So I think everyone is just playing until the end, and yeah, everyone is just so competitive. So it's a tough event.
Hey everyone, I'm International Master Eric Rosen, and I'm going to be doing in-person commentary for the American Cup at the St. Louis Chess Club, so feel free to come and join me here along with the Grandmaster in residence. We'll be taking on questions and watching the top players across the country battle it out for a lot of prize money, so hope to see you here.
"10 years, 1 legacy." The Grand Chess Tour marks a decade of mastery where only the strongest chess minds carve their names into history. Each piece has its role, like soldiers in a grand army, with commanders to lead them into the tour's 10th year and a prize fund of $1.6 million. The Grand Chess Tour starts in Warsaw with the Superbet Rapid and Blitz Poland, immediately followed by the Superbet Chess Classic Romania in Bucharest. Then off to Zagreb for the Super United Rapid and Blitz Croatia, followed by back-to-back events in St. Louis, Missouri with the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz and the Sinkfield Cup. And the culmination of the grand finale in the city of Sao Paulo, Brazil, will determine the 2025 Grand Chess Tour champion. Fight with every ounce of strength for victory. This isn't just a moment. This is history.
Do you want to know more about great female players in chess history? Throughout all of March, the World Chess Hall of Fame is offering free pamphlets to guests exploring the rich history of women in chess. Learn about legendary greats like Vera Menchik and Nona Gaprichta-Vili, modern stars like Irina, Krush, and Carissa Yips, and so many more. This Women's History Month, discover the real queens of the game at the World Chess Hall of Fame.
If you love playing chess and want to put your skills to the test, the St. Louis Chess Club welcomes you to our monthly open tournaments. This is your chance to compete in a 5-round Swiss system tournament with 2 sections: Open, which is FIDE rated, and Under 1800. Feel the thrill of competition as you contend for a share of $4,200 in prizes every month. To learn more and to register, please visit stlouischessclub.org.
You know Q Boutique at the World Chess Hall of Fame has the region's best selection of chess sets. But this store is so much more. Discover our masterfully curated selection of unique jewelry, clever kids games that nurture critical thinking and creativity, quirky greeting cards, books for all ages, and a wide variety of locally made goods. Find just what you're looking for at Q Boutique at the World Chess Hall of Fame.
We just had our grand opening of Paws and Pawns Exploring Animal Chess Sets. This show contains over 50 chess sets, sculptures, photographs, and other artwork exploring the connection between chess and the natural world. We have sets and boards that date from the late 19th century all the way up to the present. You get to see a little bit of how artists have reinterpreted familiar chess pieces using the imagery of the animal world. The World Chess Hall of Fame's collection has over 800 chess sets, and as we were going through this collection, I noticed so many different ways that people integrated animals into these artistic chess sets.
Welcome back. We have games that finished, so let's review the results before playoff starts.
We're in the elimination brackets.
Fabiano Caruana won his first game with white pieces against Levon Aronian, but then lost the second one, and that's why we will see playoffs here. In the women's section, Irina Krush lost both games against Tatev Abrahamyan, and Tatev, she is the winner of the elimination bracket.
For the Blitz coming, we've got head-to-heads.
So
moments away.
Yes. So the lifetime rapid matchup, 23 wins for Fabiano, 22 losses, 25 draws.
They have played a lot of chess. I believe
Eric Rosen, he is with our winner, Tatev Abrahamyan. Eric.
I'm joined by Tatev Abrahamyan, who just knocked out Irina Krush in the American Cup. How are you feeling, Tatev?
I don't know, just so many things right now feeling.
I'm sure it's very emotional, especially given what happened yesterday. Can you talk a little bit about yesterday after your heartbreaking draw against Alice?
I mean, I was so demoralized, and I was in just such shock as the game was going at some point. I just could feel it like slipping away from me. I felt like, I didn't even feel like it was like an out-of-body experience. I was watching myself do it. And after that, I was just so demoralized. And like, how could I do this? I get like the perfect position, right?
Sorry,
so,
can you toss your hair back? Just, avoid the microphone.
Yeah, I mean, I got a playable position out of the opening, right? Like, I'm not going to beat her out of the opening, and then she started misplaying, and I thought I was playing so well, and then I grind her out, I get this winning position. I have 3 connected pass pawns, and I can't win.
Did you get like overly confident, overly relaxed, or what went wrong?
I don't know, like I can't say. Maybe I thought I'm just gonna win, or I just got tired, got down on time. It's hard to say what happened, but yeah, I mean, it was just such an awful day yesterday.
So what did you do to recover and make yourself feel better from such heartbreak?
When I feel bad, I don't try to make myself feel bad. I just feel better. I just want to feel bad. Like, I'm very grateful. A lot of people reached out to me, but I'm very grateful to have so much support. All of my friends reached out to me. They wanted to make me feel better. I was just not in the mood. I was just watching videos. I was just trying to numb my brain.
Chess videos or something
else?
Just
YouTube. I don't even know what I watched. I watched probably 6 hours of YouTube. I cannot remember a single thing I watched. So at around 4:30, when I finally was about to fall asleep, I was like, I just never want to play chess again. But today when I woke up, I really wanted to win. So something happened in those 5 hours.
You played really well today from just a viewer's perspective. It seems like you were in full control throughout the first game and second game too. Did you do any chess preparation for this match against Irina?
Very little. This line that I played, I had reviewed it against Alice. That's how I remember it. I probably like maybe an hour, 40 minutes. But in this quicker time control games, it just comes down to the time scramble anyways, I think. So the opening, you just have to be comfortable. And the second game, I just like she couldn't get a very fighting position, so in that sense I got a bit lucky, so it was easy for me to play. I was starting to question myself and I got down on time, so I started getting nervous. Today the whole game I was just reminding myself, and I was like, just remember what you did yesterday, you know what you're capable of, so stay focused. So the whole game, as we were trading pieces, I was like, stay focused, it's not over.
Well, yeah, nicely done. And this is the first time in American Cup history that it's not an Alice Lee versus Irina Krush final. It's Alice Lee against Tatev Abrahamyan. What are your thoughts about facing Alice yet again?
Yeah, I have to find some inner strength to fight again, because I still, well, first of all, I'm exhausted because I didn't get any sleep, and also not winning that game. I mean, had I won and then lost in tie breaks, my mood would have been different. But I mean, it's a chance to fight. I mean, I have to beat her twice, right? Yeah, it seems like a very difficult task, but
Try your best.
what else am I gonna do?
Yeah. Well, best of luck in that match. I'll let you get some rest, and we'll throw it back to the studio.
Our congratulations to you, Tatev. Quite the roller coaster ride for her indeed, and we just saw the head-to-head. Tell me about the upcoming Blitz playoff and what the format are for the players.
So the format first, Fabiano, Caruana and Levon, Aronian, they are going to play 2-game blitz match, 3 minutes plus 2-second increment, colors determined by lot. Now, if there is a tie in this match, they're going to play the same match again, but colors will be reversed.
Sounds fair.
Again, if there is going to be a tie, then Armageddon. 3 minutes for white, 2 minutes for black, 2 seconds increment from move 1. Black has the draw odds, and whoever wins this match will challenge Hikaru Nakamura tomorrow in classical chess.
Kate, Cristian, I have to say that in their first match, played earlier in the tournament, there was just nothing between these two. I mean, it came down to seconds, and one check at the end decided it, but it could have easily been the other. Who do you like in the Blitz playoffs?
I feel like Levon is very confident to win this last game. I mean, if you win on demand, it's so...
You feel great.
Yeah, you feel great, you feel good. And he wants to have revenge on Fabiano because Fabiano eliminated him from the champions bracket. So I feel he has a lot of energy to fight.
But then you have the situation of Levon and Sam Seirawan.
I'll have to
Sam loses both matches, right? And
I'll have to take Fabiano on this one once again. Even though psychologically he's going to be
demoralized,
tough to come back.
Right?
But if there's anything, it's about the character of these players. We've seen Levon come back so many times. We know Fabiano can do it as well. I think we're going to have, no matter what happens, no matter what the result is going to be, a great match. We're going to have an absolutely epic match once again.
Well, it's coming up very, very shortly.
And Yasser, who is your pick?
I was hoping you.
Break the tie.
Look, I started with Fabi. I'm not going to change horses, you know. I mean, I'm not a fair-weathered friend.
Okay.
I started with Fabi. I'll stay with Fabi.
Beautiful.
And we have a lot of chess coming your way this year. The American Cup is winding down, but that doesn't mean we don't have a full schedule in front of this, Kate.
On the other, Grand Chess Tour is going to start in Poland, April 24th. Then Grand Chess Tour Romania, May 5th. And then the best ladies in the world are going to come to St. Louis for the Cairns Cup, June 8th. And Grand Chess Tour again, Croatia, and then the U.S. Juniors and Seniors Championship. Yes,
I love that.
Is the year you're gonna play?
No, it's a reunion for me. I love the seniors coming in, and the girls' championship along with the juniors. That's just so much fun to call.
Then St. Louis Rapid and Blitz Sinkfield Cup. That's a highlight of the year.
Absolutely, granddaddy.
And then Grand Chess Tour Finals in Brazil.
Yeah, Sao Paulo, Brazil awaits.
Chess 9LX, October 7th, and then the event of the year, US and US Women's Championship, October 12th.
It's always fun to see the best players competing for those titles as we're getting ready. World Chess Hall of Fame. Very, well, I was going to say demoralized Fabiano. He needed just a draw to clinch the match, but somehow these players have this inner reserve of energy they call upon even after just having this demoralized moment. And That was very impressive by Levon winning that game.
No, absolutely.
On demand.
With the white pieces and coming out of an opening that didn't look like much, right? We really thought that black can do a lot of things with the two bishops, maybe even sacrifice that IQP on d5 and just play it like that, get enough compensation for it. Well, Levon just kept it very tight, kept the pressure throughout the game as the two players are sitting down to start their blitz match. And I was a bit surprised to see both Fabiano and Levon walking around.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much time they had to prepare and come up with new ideas in between games, because we know both of these players are coming with seconds to these tournaments. Seconds as in assistant coaches.
Not
seconds
on the clock. Right.
Assistant coaches.
Right.
And in between games, they do meet with those coaches and they get new ideas.
Exactly. As we get ready for this blitz event, wow, 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. And you think about how
starting
much...
with white pieces.
Yeah.
So will he repeat the opening? Well, will Fabiano play
E4,
Sicilians
C5.
with black
I was,
pieces?
to be honest, shocked about Fabi playing c5 on move 1.
Yes.
In the rapid game. Only an Indian draw. I understand it was a surprise, most likely. But your e5 has been so solid so far. Just continue with that. Right?
Exactly. And
all right, here we go.
Are.
E4,
Underway.
C5. He's not going away from that.
Rosalimo
E6.
again.
Right.
Let's see if they're going to follow the same thing. B3, F6. The same thing so far.
These top players, they are...
Stubborn.
Stubborn.
They're pretty stubborn. Yes.
Bishop B4, once again.
So the same variation.
So the idea of bishop D2 is, once you have your pawn on B3, maybe your bishop wants to be on B2, so you can't fianchetto the bishop. And this is what I thought Fabi was going to do in the earlier game. The move D5 was fine, nothing's wrong with it, but you kind of like your big center and you like to nurse it forward. Bishop B7, idea is very clear. You want to play C5, you want to play D6, kind of keep a Sicilian.
The first one to deviate was Levon, though. He played the move bishop to D2. In the previous game, in the first game, he played bishop E3 and knight E2.
And this time he didn't retreat the knight from the center.
Yes, bishop D2 was the main line in my database as well. Bishop E3 was somewhat of a novelty. But now we have something completely different. Let's see who knows this position best.
So C5, knight E5, those two moves have my attention. They appear to be the most attractive to me.
Knight E2.
Okay.
White really wishes to finish the development by rook AD1.
Rook AD1 makes sense. It's funny, this knight on F7, I thought it would go maybe to the D4 square, kind of a circuit route. When I see the move Queen C7, in my mind's eye, I'm thinking that it's nice to plant the bishop on E5.
A6, not allowing knight B5 jumps.
Exactly.
And black may be thinking about playing F5 at some moment. So we need to develop that knight from F7 so the rook can help guard the pawn on F5.
Yeah, but F5, E takes F5, knight E5 is available if you do want to make the break. Normally, I would like to include the rook. Don't know why.
Big time
most of the time, it's nice to
Fabiano.
finish the development.
Exactly. We've noticed throughout this tournament that it has been Levon who has played quickly.
But now Fabiano has 1 minute advantage.
I was about to say, there's a big pause in this moment for Levon. He hasn't played a move. I thought he would play it very quickly. I thought his intention was to play bishop f4 and queen g3, just kind of keeping an eye over these squares. But he's paused, significant pause, knight g3.
Controlling that f5 square and maybe even considering knight h5.
Right, intimating.
That's a good move right there.
Knight h5.
I guess you have to start with knight e5, attack the queen.
Yep.
Queen h3.
Now you don't have to worry about any sort of attacks on that side, even though f4 is coming.
Well, once again, I'm finding myself, knights love anchored squares.
Do you wait for f4, or do you just go yourself? Rook f, whoa. That.
I
That's a
didn't see
surprise.
rook f7. That is a surprise.
That is a surprise.
It's a page from...
Can I go f4, f5?
Yeah, it's a page from the Garry Kasparov Sicilian handbook.
King
where
h1, knight c6.
He covered his kingside against Anatoly Karpov. Very, very beautifully. I don't know why we needed rook f7, but okay, he's back on course. Knight c6, knight d4, and Levon was basically saying, hey, when you get to d4, you might follow it up with bishop c5. I win a pawn on d4, so let me get my king out of dodge. King h1. By the way, the desirable d6 does hang a pawn.
D5, now knight a4, maybe thinking that if Fabi indeed continues with knight d4, then there is knight takes c5.
Also, you don't have to give up the dark squared bishop.
And as you said, Yasser, Fabi doesn't have that move d6.
Right.
Because that pawn on e6
is hanging.
Would fall.
So move the knight somewhere.
Knight to
b4,
b4.
knight to a5.
Knight to b4, give me the pawn.
If you go a3, knight to c2.
Precisely.
So probably after knight b4, you start looking at rook d2 ideas. Knight a7, a very passive approach.
Knight a7.
That's a bit passive.
Definitely did not expect that one.
Thinking about f4, f5 right now. Try to close shop on that side. Take more space.
Okay, a little confusing. Okay, f4.
Let's go.
Bishop f8.
And
f4 on the board.
He lashes out.
Lashes out.
Bishop f8.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me refresh. Apologies. f4, bishop f8. Okay, the d7 pawn is covered. So
Queen
h5.
Putting pressure on that pawn.
A storm is coming.
A tickle. Here I play d6.
D6 weakens that score. Rook e8. Whoa, 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 whoa. Is that a pawn?
I've got g6. I've got
you
g6.
You still have g6.
So yes, I know what you're thinking. Everything is coordinating, but I can chase the queen away with the move g6.
Queen e2.
I didn't even get to chase the queen away.
Levon is trying. He's trying to get that queen to f2. Now d6 game.
And now he's trying to get his knight back into the game. He wants to go knight c6, knight to d4.
S5, because I want to jump, or Levon wants to jump with that knight to d5.
You get your goodie, I get my goodie.
Bit of an update on the clock. 1 minute for Fabi, 20 seconds for Levon. So a time edge for Fabiano in this one.
And Fabi did not play e5 followed by knight d. He knew that the knight was coming. He knew that he needed to get his queen away from the square, so he included queen c8. So now, after e5, knight d5, it doesn't come with tempo, and I can jump to the d4 square. Will he play e5 or will he play knight e5? Knight e5 is also
queen
good.
h3, and knight e5 is his idea. That queen came from d1 to g4 to h3, h5, e2, back to h3.
A lot of torque.
At least 10 moves with that
G7, G6. I like that. Again, we know that knights love centralized squares. I didn't know whether it was the d4 or the e5 square.
9 seconds for Levon, under 10, 40 seconds, 30 seconds right now for Fabiano.
I'm thinking I'm taking just to extend the diagonal. No.
Bishop c6.
Bishop c6.
Clearing that square for a queen, potentially.
He took on e6, an exchange of queens, and knight jumps in the center finally.
Finally.
d5.
Okay, with the bishop on c6, I'm controlling the a4 square. So a5, a4, try to create a weakness. What do you think?
King g7.
Defending f6.
h3, h5.
There's only 2-second increment per move.
And they are blitzing away. They don't have hardly any time, the players, to think. Knight back to e5. It's hard to come up with
f5.
Okay, I was about to say it's hard to come up with a break.
Opening
but
things
there
up
it
for
is.
those bishops.
F5.
But perhaps not the right moment. Bishop h4 is starting to look at those dark squares menacingly.
Timing, very important.
Take on f5.
Takes, giving himself
Rook to e1.
a little bit of a
Bishop
alert,
c6.
alert. I can't play king g6.
4 seconds for...
Oh,
knight g6!
I'm not sure.
And the rook on e8 is protected. What a huge mistake.
That's a catastrophe.
That's 2 pieces for a rook.
Catastrophe. Suddenly, Levon is losing.
Rook f2.
Oh my goodness. Bishop to c6.
This one is looking crushing right now. Rook, knight to c3. f4.
Bishop is coming to g7 to e5. This is over.
That's exactly what he's doing.
This
knight
is
e2, bishop
over.
e5.
Oh
King
my
f5.
goodness.
The king infiltrates via e4 right now. Knight h4.
Bringing more
Methodical
pieces.
break of white's position right now.
Knight e3 to knight f5 to e3.
Bishop e4. Bishop d3 as
It's
well.
all over.
King g1.
It's just clock. Why would you play f3?
King h4. He's going for that h3 pawn.
Fair.
Knight to c1.
Bishop g3.
Bishop d4.
Okay, capturing that
G3.
pawn.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all one-way traffic. And with the h-pawn running as well, it's over. And it's not over till it's over. They'll change colors.
There's a check on e2, but that's about it.
Oh, he missed that knight g6. At the end there, it was just with tuck, 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 tuck. They were really, really playing. And
Tactics usually decide when there is a time scramble.
And once again, Levon finds himself in a must-win situation for the nth time in this particular matchup.
It's bad news.
Against
He's got to
Fabiano.
do it with the black pieces.
That's bad
Winning
news.
odds. Ooh.
Yes, that's bad news.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness. I thought Levon, when the queens came off, I
had the better
preferred his position.
He had a better position.
And right about here, right here, I liked his position, and probably something very nice and methodical, like bishop to g5. Just the knights look good. The knight looks good. The rooks, you can double up on against the f pawn, but it was this move right here that was the blunder. Knight g6 forks the rook and the bishop, but the rook can't maintain itself, and that was why Levon ended up having to give
But
up
how
two
good are
pieces.
these guys, right?
Yeah.
The last move before rook to f4 was bishop to c6.
Yeah.
You don't have this knight to g6 without the bishop on c6.
Exactly.
This is just instinct.
Exactly.
Because you play
That's
on second,
exactly
this is
what
just
it is.
instinct. Bishop to c6. Why do you play bishop c6? To defend that rook on e8.
defend the rook.
You don't even know in the heat of the battle why you do this.
Right.
And then suddenly rook f4 comes in the position and knight g6 is available.
Miracle.
Wins on the spot.
Right.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
Just instinct for these top players. Knight to
Knight
f4
f4
would have given white a better position.
That's what I thought too.
You have to go king h6, then I go with the other knight
Right.
to d5. I shift my rooks d1, e1, and I'm completing my pressure alongside these two files, d and e. This one is looking good for white.
Right.
But just an incredible find by Fabiano. And he found it so quickly. Rook f4,
Amazing.
he didn't release the rook before he played knight g6. Immediately found
In the heat of the battle, take a look at this
Look at this.
moment.
Look at this. He plays rook f4.
He plays bishop c6,
Yes.
defending the e8.
5 seconds
And-
for Levon.
Miracle of miracles.
Look how
rook
fast
f4.
he spots knight g6.
Instantly. There it goes.
Boom.
Boom.
His hand was already hovering over the
Hovering.
knight.
And now Levon ends up having that.
Here we go.
We
And
have
guess
the
what?
second game.
That happened fast.
Yes.
We could hardly catch our breath before game two. A must-win game for Levon, and Levon is playing a Philidor. Yes, he's playing a Philidor.
He's
Trying to keep the
switching gears
pieces.
from Hungarian defense.
It's just the worst version of the Hungarian.
Exactly. By the way, big grab of space on the queen side, a5 and b4. This bishop on d8, passive piece. Normally, I'm looking to capture, and after de, I really, really want to control the c5 square. I want to play knight to a4 and bishop e3 to control that square. Bishop f1, okay, that's a bit of a surprise. Not exactly sure what I'm doing there. Bishop to c7,
Those are
h3.
the slow improvement moves. Bishop f1, we just hide the bishop, h3, bishop e3.
Okay, I really don't know what my queen is doing on e8. Queen e7, rook to e8. Just keeping the position for the moment.
Can I go knight h4? Rook b1 first, guarding
Always.
that pawn on b4.
Just in case black ever makes a sneak attack. Rook to b1. Rook to e8 is usually kind of a necessary move, not necessarily because of knight f8.
Rook d8.
And knight g6. You just want to give your pieces more flexible options. This bishop on c8 is looking forlorn. Good move
D5.
by. Again, you're just kind of clamping down on certain key squares on the queen side. I like this move a lot. d5.
That is a great move right there, because
Yeah.
with the bishop on f5, really looking at that pawn on a6 and ideas of knight a4, knight b6, this is starting to look strategically very difficult for black.
Another very nice maneuver, we borrow a page from the King's Indian playbook, is you put your knight on d2 so you can go knight to c4, another way of getting to b6.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be white's attack on the queen side versus black's potential attack on the king side. But I have to say, it's very difficult to start it on the king side. That knight on f6 is just in the way. You would love to play f7, f5.
Illegal.
Unfortunately, pawns don't jump over knights.
So let's start with knight e8. What to do?
Knight e8, knight c4.
f5.
Take it.
Take on d5. Knight takes d5.
Whoa, okay. So Fabi,
Knight takes d5 surprises
that
me.
was for me the same.
Because now we've been talking about this. You have to go f5, right?
f5, knight to c4. I am playing for bishop b6.
Bishop d7, okay.
Opportunity of bishop to b5. Well, he's going for it. Knight to b6. And okay, so here's what Levon has in mind. That he can slow the c2 express with this move. So he's playing for control over the c4 square is Levon. Bishop b5 on the board. Yep. And that move actually stopped Fabi. Fabi was, choo-chooing right along. Maybe you want to play, you don't want to jump quite so fast.
What about knight a3?
Knight a3, kind of forcing the bishop to drop back. I don't think you want to trade. Yeah, I don't think you want to trade on f1. And I don't think, I'm almost certain you don't want me to capture on b5 and queen e2.
So probably bishop.
Wow.
So
okay.
bishop not retreating, bishop capturing on f1.
f5.
Finally, we're here.
Looking at an attack.
Okay, here we go. c4.
That's exactly what we expected. Do you want to play bishop to b6 once f4 comes on the board?
Well, first of all, play f4 and give my knight a great square. Knight.
Not yet.
I think you want to play e4 and knight e5. Get greedy. Try to put your knight on the d3 square.
You probably, yeah, that looks good. That looks like an idea. Do you start with rook to e8 right now, or do you leave the rook on a8? e4.
e4.
He's going for your plan.
By the way, sorry, Kate, update me on the clock times. That's going to be a
Levon
crucial
is
factor.
Down by 1 minute. Levon 43 seconds. Fabiano 1 minute 35 seconds.
For me, I'm thinking bishop e3, just with the concept that maybe my rook could come across. I know a lot of people do like to play the move f4 in these kinds of situations.
Bishop d4.
But okay, bishop d4, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Setting up that bishop in the center, I like that, and opening up the third rank for the rook,
Right.
to b3. Keep an
Now
eye on
you
that.
can't jump here, but you can jump here.
Oh, yes.
Knight d3, I'll take it. But knight takes c4 on Levon's agenda.
How do you defend that
Can
pawn?
I play
Queen?
c5?
So what about queen c2?
Queen c2 defends, knight d2 also defends the pawn. But how about c5? Let's go. Let's get those
I
pawns
don't
on.
like c5 for the simple fact that you're opening up that bishop, and somehow I just don't feel safe with that bishop lurking on that diagonal.
It's true. That bishop
But I
is
understand your
passive.
sentiment. C5 is definitely, it feels powerful.
Right. Knight d2, queen c2. The pawn is hanging. we're not looking. Nobody has
Fabi
suggested.
down to 30 seconds.
Nobody has suggested bishop takes e5 yet.
Knight d2.
Good. Defending the pawn.
There's no knight d3 once again. Let's remind everybody, rook takes d3 would finish the job.
Yeah, that
Don't jump yet.
That would be a shame.
So how do you continue the attack? Because if you give me one more move, f3 is coming as well. I'm breaking up your pawn structure on that side.
Well, if f3 is coming, f4 might be coming. Again, Levon needs a win. It's a win.
Develop the rook, rook e8.
7 seconds for Levon. He needs to make a move. Queen d7.
Ooh, queen d7. Bishop takes e5 instantly
and now,
by Fabi, as Fabi is looking. The knight's in the way.
f3. I like f3.
No.
No, knight f1.
The knight's in the way. We want to play c5.
Queen to e2.
We want to play rook to d1 and c5.
Rook f6. Rook d1 looking.
You can never really push for f4 because then you're going to lose that pawn on e4.
That's right.
So
15 seconds for Fabiano, 9 seconds for Levon.
Rook to b2 to d2 so that we can play. Ooh, big threat.
Invite
c5.
f4.
h5. c5 f4. You have to be careful. Knight f1 back. What is
he doing? What is Fabi doing?
Levon has 4 seconds.
King h1. Rook to b2.
It's all instinct at this point.
Rook to d2. Now he's got the setup he wants.
I'm not sure
c5.
about that because bishop g5 is coming.
Wow.
Queen h5.
I don't like Levon.
3 seconds,
3 seconds.
For Levon.
You need to make a move, Levon. Bishop to f4.
Okay, tricks.
c5 finally on the board.
The rook was hanging. You could not capture d5.
c6.
d1 is protected. He could take with the pawn. He didn't.
b5.
What the heck?
He's pushing those pawns.
a7.
Queen to d8 is a great move. a7.
Is it a7?
Queen a8. Trying to stop that pawn.
I can take the rook.
7 seconds.
Ooh.
Rook to a1. Wait a minute. Rook takes c6.
f5 is hanging.
Queen takes
f5. f5 is hanging.
Oh, that's a great spot. Rook to d6.
Knight to e3.
Queen to g4.
No.
Dropping back. Trying to pick up that pawn on h4 as well. Or queen to e2.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Check.
Pass pawns for everybody. Queen
b3. Stopping everything on that side.
Oh, this is a nervous.
Rook b7. Queen d5. Strong move.
Queen takes e4 check.
And queen takes b7.
Queen
it's
takes
over.
b7.
It's all over.
And wins.
It is all over.
And wins.
b2? Maybe not yet.
Rook a6 check.
Rook a6 check. Oh, and Fabi.
Wow.
Fabi finishes the job.
We're going to have a rematch between Nakamura and Fabi
in the grand finals.
In the grand finals.
It's a reset.
Okay, that was nerves.
Those 2 seconds, it's very little.
Fabi at the end, he didn't know how to handle his business, and he moved his knight back and forth, his rook back and forth, and
that's what you
Levon was getting some really good attacking chances.
I want to say a really nice move right here and a really nice plan altogether because it's so difficult to make c5 happen. Was tying that queen on f7 to the defense of the rook on g6 with
queen h5.
With queen h5. I think that was a great move.
That was a star move, agreed.
Star move. Bishop to f4 and now c5. And now you're making it, from a practical perspective, with only a few seconds on the clock, very difficult for black to play.
Exactly.
Because you allow c6, b5. With the pawns on the queen side,
and look how he conducted that. Queen f6, keep pushing. Do not give black a single tempo.
Exactly. c6. Takes. I thought he was going to recapture with the pawn, by the way.
And b5. Great move. You're sacrificing a bunch of pawns, but you're getting that pawn on a7.
Exactly. And when he played queen takes f5, but then suddenly and out of the blue came this guy.
Yes.
Like nobody had talked about this b pawn. I mean, and Levon needing a win. This was the clutch move. That rook b7, allowing queen.
But to be honest, you don't have any moves at this point.
My next move is knight e3, right? And everything is blocked.
That's right. You're running out of moves.
Okay, at least I would have played king h8, so that king h6, so then after rook b7, it's not a check.
And you give me one more move, king h6, rook a4, perhaps.
Yes.
I'm starting to pick up that pawn on b4.
I know. And it was a lovely finish, by the way. Queen takes b7.
And
But
Eric
let's
Rosen
pause.
is with the winner, Fabiano Caruana. Eric, over to you.
I'm joined by Fabiano Caruana, who just took down Levon Aronian. Congratulations, Fabi. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it feels like a repeat. We just had this. Yeah, I think like my matches against Levon in this tournament account for like nearly half my matches. And it was another one where we exchanged blows in the first two games. Of course, I wasn't happy that I had lost, especially in rapid, because you feel like you have very good chances to hold in rapid. But he definitely outplayed me very cleanly in that game. But I still felt kind of calm because we've already been here so many times, and the blitz I think went about as smooth as you can hope in blitz. I mean, it wasn't smooth for sure. The first game I was worse, but then he blundered in exchange. The second game I was probably worse, but things went my way in the end, and overall very happy.
Is there anything that gives you an edge in these, especially the blitz schemes and time scrambles where there are blunders happening? So it seems like you guys are so close in terms of level of play.
Yeah, I think it really is. It very often comes down to these last second moments, and it maybe comes down to some details that we don't really think of, not even the chess moves, but let's say not hesitating for even half a second in some certain situations, which is one of Hikaru's strengths for sure, that even if he's losing and he's maybe not even defending in the best way, but he's defending super fast. He plays extremely fast, and it doesn't give you time to get your bearings. This is probably why he held the second game against me yesterday. So yeah, it really comes down to these like very split-second things. It's not because one of us is so clearly better than another. It also depends on the day as well. I mean, you could have the same match tomorrow, and you have a different result.
I want to ask about yesterday because it was a very tough finish for you yesterday. How did you recover and rebound for today?
I didn't feel too terrible. Of course, I was upset, but it's good that at least it's not the end of the tournament. So you always feel like you have it until it's over. You still have some chance. Of course, it's still a very uphill struggle, and I knew it would be yesterday to even win this match. I also didn't feel like I played too terribly. I mean, the first blitz game just kind of went wrong for like two moves. I mean, I just blundered that when I took on f6, that he has his 93. If I take on b4, then I noticed it, and then things kind of fell apart slowly. But it wasn't like so many terrible decisions. It was like 1-2 bad decisions, and he played well. And the second game, I thought I did create chances very well, which I was happy with. And then, sometimes you find the way in the time scramble, sometimes you don't. It wasn't super easy. There was one probably very easy moment, rook d1, knight d3, but I had thought about this idea for like a few moves, and then I had forgotten about it because I never saw it working because my king was always on g7. Suddenly it's on g8 and it works, and there were like two other very clean wins. But these things can happen. It's I can't blame myself too much for things that happened within like 5 seconds. I can maybe be more upset about things that I do in a classical game where I have a lot of time to think, but in these like last second moments, you can't be too critical of yourself.
Now, you're guaranteed 2 more classical games, at least against Hikaru. What are your thoughts about trying to get revenge against him?
Well, classical, I don't really want to play classical now. I was kind of enjoying playing rapid and blitz, and now it's back to like the normal preparation.
Right.
But hopefully it goes well. I mean, I think that it's more or less a toss-up in one match. Of course, since he has 2 lives, then he obviously is quite a favorite. But in one match, and I'll just take it one match at a time. If I make it past that, that's great. If not, then I get to play the American Cup Blitz.
That's right. Yeah. Maybe I'll see you there. Yeah. Is there any added significance given that you and Hikaru are on competing esports teams? You're on Team Liquid. He's on Team Falcons. Is there extra pressure, maybe attention for that?
I didn't really think of that. I think for the next Champions Tour event, where we have to try to qualify for the Esports World Cup, then, and I think he's already made it, so maybe he doesn't have to think about it. But for me, it's still definitely in my mind that I have to try to make it, and hopefully Team Liquid can be represented by 2 players. In the final, that would be great. Of course, Magnus is already there. I felt like with Hikaru, we've had, you could call it a rivalry for so many years now that you don't need an extra reason. Like we're definitely eager to prove ourselves versus each other.
It's very true. Well, best of luck tomorrow. Congrats again, and we'll send it back to the studio.
Our congratulations as well, Fabi. But we're not done yet. No way.
Oh, they are eager to play each other. Hikaru Nakamura and Fabiano Caruana. Their score so far: 10 wins for Hikaru, 8 losses, and 38 draws.
Wow, that's a lot of games. Let's take a look at the eliminations brackets. Let's start with the ladies. What happened today?
Tatev Abrahamyan, the winner of the elimination bracket, she dropped to this bracket after losing to Alice Lee, but she was able to come back today after yesterday's tough defeat, and she won against Irina Krush, and she's gonna come back and challenge
Alice Lee.
Alice
She won convincingly 2-0 as well. And what about in the men open bracket? Sorry.
Here it is Fabiano Caruana, who lost yesterday, came to this elimination bracket, but defeated Levon Aronian once again. And now he is gonna come back to classical chess and challenge Hikaru Nakamura.
Wow, great stuff, great stuff. I mean, I was mesmerized by the interview, just thinking about what Fabi was saying, how oftentimes you're making decisions in split seconds.
Yeah.
And you can't be angry with yourself.
Absolutely.
When, you know, in a classical game, you think for 20 minutes and you make a blunder, yeah, beat yourself up. But in a split second, and and they play so well.
It's all about instinct.
But are we happy? Are we happy? No, I'm not happy.
I'm pretty
Eric is happy. Eric is very happy.
Yasser, it was
it was a great thank you. Participation.
You did well.
Congratulations to both of us.
Look,
we're together. I don't know about him. And
But
what
look
about
at Eric?
Just a
Look at
second.
Eric.
Eric, he's got
By
big
himself
skin
right
in the
there,
game.
and he made it to the finals.
You're looking very good. Very good.
It's a game of skill.
Dang, what happened to my brackets? It was a pleasure. It was really a lot of fun. Thank
Great
you.
games.
We're going to see you all tomorrow. Tell your friends where you're hanging out and join us for the grand finals starting tomorrow, same time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Wow.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Any reproduction or distribution of this content without the express written consent of the St. Louis Chess Club is prohibited.